Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism, back with a live video for you this afternoon. Happy Sunday to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully the audio's okay. My kilobytes per second seem a little better than last week. I did have a little issue with the PC, so sorry I'm a little bit late. I do deeply apologize for that. Hopefully everything will be okay. The only thing is I had to rush open a bunch of tabs and redo some stuff that I didn't want to have to redo, but hey, it is what it is. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for joining me. If you don't know why I'm doing this show on Sundays at the normal Globebuster time, it's because we are taking some time off. Shout out to Bob. He's moving his house, picking it up, and relocating it. No, he's moving, so he's taking some time off. He'll be away for a while. Iru was supposed to join me today, but there will be no Iru, and that's some sad news. His grandmother passed away, I believe, yesterday. So Iru, spend some time with the family. Our thoughts, our prayers, our well wishes are with you, your brother, your mother, and hopefully we see you next week. But take care of the family. So that's why Iru isn't with us. And many people know, if you've been listening to Globebusters, he's been spending some time in the hospital with his grandmother recently, and at the age of 93, I believe. She has passed away, and I'm sure gone on to greener pastures and better things. That's my opinion. You can have a different opinion on that, whether or not we do move on from here. But my opinion is that we do. And that if you lived a good life here and you're good to people, it's always going to be interesting to see what happens after. If you, on the other hand, told lies and confused people and went your own merry way and didn't care about the good of all people, well, then it could be a different case for you. So let's see what happens with that. Let's see here. Today's show is entitled Jeranism Live, Earthquake Edition. And so let's start out with a moment of silence for all those affected by the recent July 4th and July 5th earthquakes here in California. We will rebuild. We will. We will persevere. We will come back. We will rebuild our chimneys brick by brick. And we will pick up bottles of liquor that fell off shelves. We will straighten out that patio chair. Okay, we will rebuild. No, sorry if you think that that's rude, but I don't. If you've watched the news, it's been absolutely ridiculous. Now, I only live 300 miles from the quote-unquote epicenter. But earthquakes are a way of life in California. They happen. The funniest thing, the most annoying thing is these news reports that make the biggest deal out of these things as if they are the end of the world. The end of the world is right around the corner. When will the big one come? Will California fly off into the ocean, which is impossible. People just need to think about the way our world is constructed. All the land is connected, so you can't break off and fall into the ocean, despite what the NBC or CBS News may try and tell you. It's just all such nonsense. And again, I'm not one of these 15 people that have had their chimneys fall down. If it did happen to you, I'm sorry. That happens. You live in California. It's not the end of the world. But anybody who's watched the news might think that we are all in desperate peril, that we will need to spend years, as I heard today, that the cleanup will take years on the news. Years to pick up some bottles off the shelf. Just the whole earthquake scare tactic is so ridiculous, guys. Do not let the news scare you. They can just make up whatever they want. I don't know. I heard crazy interviews today. Some lady that they interviewed on the street who said, "Oh, it was so scary. My 3-year-old came and grabbed my leg because she's so scared she doesn't know what it is." That's not news. 3-year-olds are scared of Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. We don't need a news story about it. We don't need a news story. Ma'am, why was your daughter holding onto your leg? Well, she was just so scared at the giant mouse. She didn't know what it was. It's not news. Get over it. We move on. It's just ridiculous to me that these things are considered, big news and huge earthquake, 7.1. And then they, of course, say, oh, well, the 6.4 earlier was just a precursor. I, of course, felt both of them. Again, I was 300 miles from them, so they weren't very impacting to me. But let me show you. I did actually go out and take a look at some damage that was done by these earthquakes. It's a crack in my street. Deep crevasse. Pretty scary. Here's another one if I zoom out a little bit. Absolutely devastating. Luckily, the firefighters will be going door to door and making sure that all houses are structurally sound. That's what's coming up next. So, this is pretty serious stuff. Pretty scary when, I don't know if you've ever seen, they showed some cracks in the roadways and in the concrete. I don't know about you guys. I've been affected by some devastating natural disasters myself. Roots. The roots growing near the sidewalk have created huge crevasses. Very difficult for bikes and tricycles to get across them, to get over them. Devastating natural disasters. It's just so funny to see these news, and they show a Big Lots store from outside. None of the windows are crashed. This is not a major thing. The windows are all completely fine. They're showing inside the window at towers of toilet paper that have been toppled. If you stack up toilet paper on a front end cap, I was a store manager for a drugstore, and somebody with their shopping cart happens to steer awry and knock that, the stack comes down. That's what happens. And if the earth shakes below you, hey, this is what happens. I don't understand anything about earthquakes as far as why they happen, other than obviously we are all building on land, and the land readjusts. You've got friction between, you can call them plates, you can just call it land. You're building on that, and when that friction moves a little, it's going to cause a little bit of a rumble. Okay, that's what happens. So, one of the things I can't stand is the stupid scale. We can take a look at that. The USGS, how much bigger calculator? Because you hear all this nonsense. I can't understand. I just get so frustrated because they're just scaring people when they talk about, the difference in size. The 7.1 that happened 7.5, I believe, if I'm not getting the dates messed up. Day before yesterday, right? Yeah, in the evening. The one that happened, that was a 7.1, and they say the original one was a 6.4. It's a precursor, a pre-quake, a pre-shock. Nonsense. Anyway, if we go to this little calculator, how much bigger is a blank magnitude? If you put in a 7.1 over a 6.4, and you calculate that out, comes out and says it's 5 times bigger. All right. So if an earthquake is 5 times bigger than a 6.4, every building would topple. It's just ridiculous to think about. And then if you put it in an 8, let's put it in an 8 earthquake. How much bigger is that than a magnitude 6.4? Calculate that. 39 times bigger. Okay, people don't even understand what a difference that is. They would empty swimming pools, not just create waves. Okay, it would topple every building if something is 40 times bigger. And then you go down here and times stronger, the energy release, 250 times. You don't realize how many times bigger something is to be 250 times bigger? It's just such a scare tactic. When will the big one come? When will we all be swept out to sea? Gorilla Forilla said, I agree, Jaron, with what you just said about moving on, being a good person. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm glad you do agree with that. I think so, too. And what better way to live your life than to live a life that is in service to others, in service to truth, and in service to exposing, people like Epstein. Did you guys see that news report? Hopefully, Jeffrey Epstein arrested for sex trafficking. And some of these papers are going to be released, and we're going to find out who's all involved, how much of it is truth, how much of it is being hidden. Well, a lot of it's being hidden, and that's what happens when you have a lot of money, but sometimes it catches up to you. And so hopefully he gets what is deserving of him, not like before, where he was found guilty of all these sex trafficking things with 30 underage women, and then they just seal the records. What a load of junk. Anyway, earthquakes, I don't know your guys' opinions on earthquakes, but if you're watching the news and you're anywhere else in this world or you're anywhere else in this country, please don't succumb to the fear tactics of the mainstream media. Please. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that this is what they consider news stories. They send out their reporters to walk and find one crack in the concrete, to go to a Big Lots and show the toppling of a Red Bull display, maybe some toilet paper. Absolutely terrible. And again, a moment of silence is we will rebuild. We will persevere. We will get through this. Everybody there in Ridgecrest will be fine. There's no deaths. I don't even know if there's an injury. If there's an injury, it's somebody got hit by the toilet paper roll that fell off the stack. They love to show buildings where the lights are swaying, and you're like, well, those lights are on strings. They're going to sway. That's what they're supposed to do. But they're showing this like it's the end of the world. And they show these liquor stores like, look at all the liquor that fell off the shelf. Well, yeah, you've stacked bottles of liquid very close to the edge of a shelf, and we're building on land that moves occasionally. And when it moves, those bottles will come down. But we will rebuild. We will restock. We will reorder liquor. The wine shelves will be filled again. I promise you. Happy belated at Christina Miller. Thank you, Joshua Doyle. How do earthquakes prove a spinning globe? They don't. They certainly don't. But, if you're a glober, everything proves a globe. So you can just say whatever. You can just make up whatever on the spot. Earthquakes prove a spinning globe. What more nonsense do you need to hear than that? But this is what these guys have amounted to, which is basically nothing. Everything proves a spinning globe, even though there is no scientific proof. A lot like gravity, no scientific proof. Let's real quick just cover on that topic, the gravity topic. By the way, you're watching jeranism, and this is Sunday, and it is live. The whole gravity debate got a little bit heated, I guess, last week in my chat. I don't want any of that. So if you're here in the chat to fight with other people, If you're here to call other people names, then get out. Go to your own channel, start a live stream. I don't even care if you do it at the same time as mine. Doesn't bother me. I'll never say, you did a live stream on Sunday at noon Pacific? That's my time. Don't care. I just don't care. So honestly, go to your own channel, start a live stream, invite the person that you want to have it out with, and you guys have it out. And call each other names and call each other dumb for having different opinions and different beliefs. Go ahead. For me, when you've got two people that aren't telling lies, these two people are simply voicing their beliefs. We have people that are out there lying. Brian Cox saying no person in the history of the world has ever thought that the earth was flat. When you've got to go to those kind of lies to get your point across, there's a problem. Go ahead and call it out. But when somebody just has a different opinion than you, to just accept it. Move on. So, I don't want drama. I don't want fights. I don't want nonsense. I want to have my show. People who enjoy what I've got to say should be able to come here. They should be able to get in the chat and have a good time. If you're not one of those people, if you're here for another agenda, if you're here to make fun of somebody, if you're here to call me names, hopefully you're removed by my moderators. Because that's not what the channel's for. You're welcome to go to your channel and say whatever you want about me. Doesn't bother me. I won't watch. It's just the way it goes. So hopefully people begin to understand that. And don't use this as a platform for you to try and get one up on somebody else. I really don't care. And with this gravity debate, again, for the last time, I'll use this analogy, the Jessica Biel, Jessica Alba analogy. But we have to understand that people are going to have different opinions on some issues. That everybody doesn't see the world the same way. So I can have an argument with you where I say how much better looking Jessica Alba is, and you might, well, we're going to go back and forth for that forever because we have different opinions of what beauty might be. What is beautiful? What constitutes somebody being better looking? Maybe you like girls to be on the thicker side. Maybe I like girls to be on the thicker side. Maybe it doesn't matter. It's just we're going to have a back and forth. So it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to have a conversation and say, okay, what's your reasons for thinking that? All right, well, I have a different opinion. This is the reason I feel this way. And if we go back and forth and eventually we just can't come to a conclusion, which we don't need to, it's okay. It's okay. Some people have this belief in F equals MA and the equations that have been given to us by men before us. And if you believe that those things must be true and that we can't get around them, well, then those people have that belief. If you're a believer like me, that I don't think those things are necessarily true. I think that they've handicapped the human race. That once people adopt that and build entire physics around it, that we have issues. And when you get into theoretical physics and all the nonsense that goes with that, then you've pigeonholed people into becoming nonsense speakers. And we're going to discuss that a little bit when I show a Joe Rogan clip in a little bit. Artem Brayson, very much. Thank you very much for the 99 cents. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Your super chats are greatly appreciated. We'll also talk about super chats in a little bit, just in the fact that, Fight the Flat Earth, if you know who that is. But these other channels are getting called out for being scam artists. Let me maybe bring that up. We'll just do that one real quick first. And we'll talk about some other... Oh, no. What did I do? I hope I didn't accidentally close a... Let me check something real quick here. I have to make sure I didn't close something. Oh, I did. We'll open it back up here. And do we have the right time? Oops. Yeah. So, for instance, I'll just talk about this real quick. But, people know and understand my channel when I say, hey, please donate. Thank you so much to my patrons, which, by the way, shout out to my patrons so much. Thank you guys. You guys make this channel possible. Appreciate all of your donations. Extremely generous. Thank you many times over. I can't say thank you enough. It's impossible to say what you guys have done for me, for my life, for my family. Just unending thanks. So thank you very much. If you guys want to join them, you can go to patreon.com/jeranism. And what I've always said is that those donations go to me to make me have to do my other jobs less. I have to sell less books. Was able to shut down my bookstore, which is an extreme headache, to run the bookstore, to try and get everything inventoried. Now I've been able to drive up to San Jose, San Francisco, Berkeley, Newark, places like that, Sacramento, and sell off massive amounts of my books so that I'm able to spend more time making videos, spending a lot of time on my movie right now, which next Sunday I will have the trailer for you. That movie is NASA Going Nowhere Since 1958. And so it's, shaping up to be pretty good. I'm happy about it. But again, this is something I've been able to do with no budget. And so, I've got dreams and aspirations of being able to do this full time, to make longer length videos and movies. I would love to go out and interview people. Would love to drive to NASA and interview people. And those things are dreams. They're down the road. If I ever get my, patron amount up to enough to where I can support myself and take trips and drive and interview these people, then I'll do that. And if not, then I won't. And I'll continue to make movies and videos like I always have, just based on my observations and my assessment of the material. So anyway, I got a movie coming. Thank you, Paco Mac, for the £1.99. I don't know how to say that. I got to learn. Got to ask somebody from the land of Britain over there in England. How do you say? So if it's $1.99, then is it £1.99? £1.99? 1.99 pound? I don't know how you say it. I just wish we'd all go to the same thing, but we probably won't do that. So anyway, this... Oops, sorry about that. 1 second. Let me get that. My dog not very happy with something. Anyway, let's listen to this real quick. This is a... Come here. Miss Puppy. Come here. Miss Puppy says hi to everyone. I guess she was upset that she didn't get to say hello in the intro. That's my bad. But let's see if that goes away. There is a tow truck in front of my house for some reason. And that's going to bug my dog for a second. Come here, want to sit on my lap? Come. All right. Sorry about that. Miss Puppy on the lap while the tow truck causes problems. And my headphone cord wrapped around her neck. That's real good. Anyway, so real quick, let's talk about what I was saying about, super chats and everything. That those all go to me to help me spend more time doing this, and less time on doing the things that other people have to do, like I've always had to do, have a job, support my family, food to eat. But it's just a real big thanks to everyone who's helped me grow my own garden. I've got a garden in the backyard for the first time in my life. Eating healthy, really, for the first time in my life. I quit smoking for the first time since I was, 16 years old. All these things are benefits of my life that wouldn't be there if it wasn't for those people who have supported me. So how can I ever repay them? I'll just continue to do the work that I've done and continue trying to voice my opinion despite the delisting, demonetization. This video will be demonetized. Or at least be claimed by Joe Rogan. I already know that because I'm going to play a portion. Doesn't matter if I use it in fair use. Doesn't matter if I stop it every once in a while. Doesn't matter if I speed it up. He will always claim that. And that's just the way certain channels are. I know that. So when you see ads on this video after, just know those ads are not put there by me. Of course, I would try and put ads there if I was going to be able to get any funding for that or get any monetization for that. But also my videos are all immediately demonetized. As they say, they're not advertiser friendly, which is just ridiculous. But I'm not saying anything dangerous. But we've also got people out there like Fight the Flat Earth, and this video here is by the channel. And by the way, all the links to all the stuff that I show will be in the description. It just takes me a little time after the show, where I load these all up, and we'll link them below. So if you want to find any of this. But Mr. Cheswick has made a video, Flat Earth, Fight the Flat Earth, exposed as a charity thief and liar by his ex-military buddies. So definitely worth checking this out. But I just wanted to play a portion of it just because this is what happens to these guys that start these channels. He's going to fight the Flat Earth, but he's also going to steal money from people. And imagine if I did a video where I said, hey, this video, all the money that's made from this video and all the super chats will go to so-and-so. And I've actually done that before, and I didn't even mention it to people. So, I had Vegan Warrior on my show before, and, split up the super chats with him. And, those things weren't even announced. But this is somebody who does a live stream and says, hey, well, this person, we're doing a charity for X person, and all super chats and all money made in this video will go to this person for whatever reason, if they need medical bills or if they're having issues or whatever the reason might be. And then come to find out, he's never even talked to that other person, never given them any money. And again, these people are just the scum of the earth. Imagine if I did that. I should be called out. It should be pointed out to people. Hey, this guy is lying to you. Get that all the time, right? People all the time say, Jaren's lying to you. He's lying to you. Not lying to you. I'm telling you my honest opinion and saying I would appreciate your support, and your support helps me do more videos, do this full time, which I would love eventually to be able to do this full time. And that's the truth. I don't say it's for charity. I don't say, oh, if you give me a super chat today, I'm going to be giving it to Paul X, because he's got some medical issues. And then I do my live stream and people send in super chats, and then I never contact Paul X. That's the equivalent of what's going on. Let's listen to a second of this here.
All right, let's get back on track and talk about Off the Hook real quick. Craig, did you ever contact Off the Hook about this whole super chat and AdSense?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Keep
it
going
is.
backwards.
I have her statements that say otherwise.
Well,
That you have never contacted her since after the stream.
So he starts out by asking, have you ever contacted this person that you said this was charity for? He's talking about the actual person that he said was charity to, and Craig says, I'm pretty sure I did.
You just told me that you did.
Yeah, I said I'm not sure.
Now he says, I'm not sure if I contacted that person after I did a live stream, told people that all the money would be going to her. I'm pretty sure I did. Oh no, I just said I'm not sure I did.
So why would you not tell her about these super chats and AdSense?
See.
Does it even matter?
Does it even matter? Does it even matter if I talk to the person that I said I'd be giving the money to? Does that even matter? Yes.
Yes,
That's
it
what I
does.
intend to fucking do.
Oh, okay, but you haven't communicated with this woman in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, I have. I've actually spoken to her a couple of times since.
I spoke to her.
So he just said, I have spoken to her. I've spoken to her a couple times since I did that live stream. Then this guy comes back and says, well, I talked to her. She says you haven't spoke to him.
Craig, are you sure you want to say that? I'm in direct contacts with her, Craig. Have you spoke to her about the AdSense and Super Chats? Yes
Not
or no?
about the AdSense and Super Chats. No, I just said
Why
I haven't.
haven't you?
Oh, now he says, I just said I haven't talked to her about those things.
Well, does it matter?
Does it matter?
Because these are funds that are in the air. Have you contacted her about her funds? Yes or no?
Now, by the way, the person making this video is a Globe Earther. So the Globe Earthers are calling out their own people as scam artists. And they should.
Oh my god, are you fucking deaf?
Come on.
Sorry about the
Hang
language, by the way.
on. Craig, the reason why this is a question that I am not stopping Pig on is because it is actually a very salient point. When you do a charity for someone and you are being the host of it and you notice these things, even if it was a mistake that ended up being an afterthought, it is on you as the host to immediately communicate that with the beneficiary and not leave them hanging in the wind, regardless of your intention.
Question for you, Off the Hook.
All right, I might have an answer.
Okay, so long story short, I contacted Craig. He said that he contacted you about the AdSense and Super Chat.
So now this is him talking to the girl that they did the charity for.
I haven't even spoken to him since I had contacted him about his trolls. And even before that, there was nothing about AdSense. I didn't even know he had monetized the video.
So anyway, we don't have to listen to any more of that. I just wanted to point out that these guys are dirtbags. And if you've heard about the Non Sequitur show, all the troubles going on over there, I find it sad, at the same time funny. I pointed out in many videos before that those two guys are liars, and now it comes out that they are in fact fighting, and that they are in fact fighting and lying over money. You told me you'd give me 50%. No, I'm not going to give you 50% anymore. I do all the work now. So these guys have been doing this all for money the entire time. Okay, that's their whole goal. That's their whole thing. So pretty sad that people get caught up in that, and it's a problem. Let me see here. Let me close a few of these. Let's go to space news real quick. These are my... Oh, here we go. Let's go to space news. How about this from Sky News? Sorry, I'm having a little trouble. I have my dog on my lap, and there's still some tow truck at the next door neighbor's house dropping off a truck. I thought tow trucks picked up trucks, but anyway, this is dropping it off. And my dog doesn't like it. Anyway, lunar satellite captures stunning images of solar eclipse. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is classic. You know how easy this is to make? Again, I wish Eru were here. Shout out to Eru. We'll see him next week. He'll be joining me. But how easy is this to fraud? And look at this. This is the shadow of the moon. This moon over here, shadowed. And supposedly this is covering Argentina. Let's read it. Stunning pictures of a rare total eclipse that blocked out the sun above Chile and Argentina have been captured by a satellite orbiting the moon. Thousands of people, including tourists, locals, and astronomers, gathered to see the solar spectacle earlier this week, with 2 South American countries the only inhabited locations from where it could be seen. Not soon. Many more around the world watched live streams to see the eclipse, which occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth and blocks the sunlight. During the 2-minute-long event, a Chinese lunar satellite managed to snap some images from an incredible angle, and they were downloaded by telescopes in Beijing and the Dutch town of Dwingeloo. So funny that, think of what you think of a telescope, and then this one says that they're downloaded by telescopes. These images from the satellites are then downloaded by telescopes. It's all computer processing, folks. All computer processing. Let's go back up and see this image one more time just because it's classic. If you're not laughing hysterically, something's wrong with you. Because this is just... Where is this on the Earth? Where is this supposed to be land? Is this South America? What happened to Antarctica? What is going on here? If you believe this, I don't know what to say. I forgot to even try and put this into... let's see if we copy image address. Let me try and actually go put it into photo forensics. Again, this is a spur of the moment. It might not even show anything. Whoops, what happened here? Let me pull this up and see. Photo forensics. Watch out, puppy. All right, photo forensics. By the way, if you ever want to go there, FOTO-FORENSICS. You can paste URLs in. Let's see if the URL works here. Sometimes you have to download it to your computer if the URL, for whatever reason, doesn't work. Oh, you're not looking at it. Sorry. Let's put that back on. So I just loaded it into photo forensics, but usually you get the square around. But I don't know if this is the original. Obviously, it's quite a small image, but you can see this little box here. But usually, it's much more pronounced. They're fakery. This one, not too bad. Again, this is classic. You go to the metadata. There's no information in here. It's basically been processed times over times over times to the point where now it's just a small little dirtball image. Again, you'd have to have the original image to really do any photo forensics on it. So again, the site Photo Forensics, if you ever want to punch in a URL and take a look at some of the information. And also on the site, go ahead and take a look at some of the links. They've got some little tests that you can do and some little examples. VW Blue Sky, thank you very much. $2 super chat. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you, everybody, for your super chats. They are greatly appreciated today, as this channel or this video will be monetized by Toe Rogan. By the way, I'm at least 2 togans tall, if anybody wanted to know that. All right, so yeah, lunar satellite captures stunning images of solar eclipse. This is such a joke. People will just buy it. Oh, these clouds, this must be real. Thank you for the satellite image. In funnier news, I don't know if everybody saw this. This was, at this point, a week ago or something. Just shows the stupidity of the people that we call geniuses. Elon Musk tweets Occupy Mars, a long photo of the moon. So I love the title of this from The Independent. Hey, super genius, that's the moon in a total lunar eclipse, scientist replies. Basically what we're talking about here is Elon Musk tweeted this. Occupy Mars. Hopefully you guys can see that. With a picture of what I guess he assumed to be Mars. Why would you put a picture of the moon in eclipse when it's red and put it next to a tweet that says Occupy Mars? What a bunch of nonsense. It's just such hilariousness. It says it's unclear if Mr. Musk's post was in reference to U.S. leaders' comments. No, it wasn't. It was just stupidity. Because then somebody responded to him and said, hey. And then he put a little happy face and put, oh, and the moon. Because he's brainless. But these are the guys that were considered geniuses. They're going to take us to Mars. Okay, which is just such a joke. Anyway, we're going to get to that here in a second of how hilarious that is. So, yeah, that's your space news for today. You got super genius Occupy Mars with a picture of the moon. Couldn't even dream that up if you tried. It's just hilarious. Talked about it last week, but I'll talk about it again here. Flat Earth Barcelona 2019 Part 3, the Flat Earth Football Club. This is a video by, keep clicking that wrong. There we go. Rodrigo Ferrari Nunes. Oh, am I not subscribed? Oh, I'm subscribed now. Rodrigo Ferrari Nunes streamed live yesterday, and he talks about, we'll go ahead and listen to a little bit of it.
Hello guys, hello everybody. Yes, indeed, we are cansados de asneira, tired of bullshit. So let's get to what matters here. Hello Bob, how's it going? You're the only one here on the chat right now. I'm gonna get started. As you know, we have a Spanish club changing its name to Flat Earth Football Club. We saw just a couple of pieces that have come out within the last week or so about this, and there have been quite a few more. We look at this one from the Mirror as well, support for conspiracy theory, and I talked about how Alfio Basile, who was a former coach of the Argentinian football team, world champion, is now a flat earther, a supporter. His son was there with us at the encounter in Barcelona.
So they just had a Flat Earth conference in Barcelona. Iru was there. He said also that the son of Alfio Basile, who is a former player and coach, is now a Flat Earther, along with his son, who was obviously at the event. Let's continue.
And we have more. And this sound, it's in Russia apparently, Hand of Moscow, something I found today. And
thank you for the shout out, or for the super chat from Joshua Doyle again. $2. Unicorns and dragons are real. I did the maths. And math is reality. Of course, we know that. How do we know they're not real? Because the mainstream media would make you very afraid of them. That because of a dragon attack in Indonesia, absolute desolation, tearing the heads off of young innocent victims. Just a child walking through the park is attacked by a unicorn, and head is ripped off by a flying dragon. That's how we know it's not real, because if it was real, then that's what we'd be hearing in the mainstream media.
the English is pretty weird. And is just a little note. So this thing is getting passed around. Hello, David.
You'll see it's also there, Coast to Coast with George Norrie. A Spanish soccer team changed its name to Flat Earth FC, which stands for Football Club. David Weiss joins this and asks an interesting question here.
David is asking, are they flat earthers or just doing it for fun? So it's a good question. And I never knew who this guy was before I got there. I didn't know he was going to be coming. Let me get my camera here.
So that'll be a story that, I'll put in the show notes. If you want to take a look at that story, it'll be in the show notes. Check it out. That's on Rodrigo Ferrari Noon's channel. He's done some great work. He's a PhD, by the way, in anthropology, and has done some great work on the flat earth. So go ahead and check out his channel if you have not. Subscribe if you want as well. Again, that channel is Rodrigo Ferrari Noons, Nunes. Awesome work all the time by Rodrigo. He was also there, by the way, in Barcelona. So we also have something else I wanted to point out. This will also be in the show notes. Shout out to Patricia Steer, just because of all the work that she did. She did some great work, some great interviews. Did an interview with me very early on. Helped me get to know some people a lot better. When I didn't know anything about ODD, I can still remember where I was driving. The day she had ODD on her show, and I got to listen to an hour and a half or whatever it was, an hour conversation where I really learned a lot about him. And you can look at her entire plethora of interviews that she did, and she really helped a lot of people get to know other people in the community. She was there for all the Flat Earth conferences, was always very cordial to me. But she has stepped away from Flat Earth. If you didn't know that, there's a video here on Chris Van Matry's channel. Okay, you can check out Chris Van Matry. If you want to just go there and check out her side of the story, basically he links an article that was written about her or an interview that was done with her. I've read the article, hard to read. Pretty sad story. But again, it's up to you to decide, what you feel about it. If you are interested in that subject or interested in why Patricia Steer is no longer in the community, why she left, this is the best place for you to go. The video is called Everything That Was Beautiful Became Ugly. Right now it's on Chris Van Matry's channel, but what it comes with is a link, and I'll click that link there, a link to a story on a website. I don't know if the name, ourwayisthehighway.wordpress is the blog. And Noel J. Hadley on July 3rd wrote quite a long interview here, or an article piece. Anyway, it's very long, but worth the read if you want to check it out. Read it and decide for yourself what you feel. Everybody has different opinions about different people in this community, and those people are free to those opinions. But I think that, Patricia did a great job at what she did. She was never more than she proclaimed to be. She proclaimed to be a ex-radio DJ who enjoyed interviewing people. And, that's what she did well. But, the trolls got to her, and she has since taken off. And, to each person, this is not for everyone. She often looked at the comments all the time and everything everybody said about her. And I think that makes it very difficult. If I did that, I probably would have slit my wrists long ago. So that's why I stopped paying a lot of attention to a lot of the things that were said about me. Simply because a lot of it is lies and a lot of it is nonsense and goes away from the point, attacking ad hominem attacks. So it's up to you. You can choose whatever you'd like about that story. But if you're interested in the story, I recommend you read this article. And we go from there. Let's see here what else I had going on. A couple other things. We can talk about the Metabunk curve calculator real quickly. Another classic. Thank you very much, by the way, from Ricardus BG. Hi, Jaron. M. Sargent and Nathan can be trusted. UK. Ricardus, I don't know what you mean by that. I've met Mark Sargent. He knows what I've called him before. He's a big dork, and I've called him that to his face. He knows what I think. But at the same time, Mark's done fantastic work for Flat Earth. I mean, has he done some things that maybe I wouldn't have done? Sure, but you can say the same thing about me. You can go watch Behind the Curve and be like, Jaron absolutely destroyed Flat Earth in that movie. He proved curve. Well, this is why people are allowed to their opinions. If that's what you think, if that's what you believe about a movie, that they didn't take that experiment out of context at all, that everybody who walked away from that experiment, there was 25 people that night, everybody walked away thinking the same thing. Nothing was proven, nothing was shown, except for one person, and it happened to be the person who is the director of that movie, who didn't say anything at the time, who just took the test or the observation out of the middle and put it at the end of his movie as if I proved something. If people want to believe that, I can't stop them, So people have their own opinions about, but all the nonsense that's been done on other channels about, oh, well, he works for Metatron and they're capturing your data. To me, it's just all nonsense. I've done my own research on it. It is what it is. Thank you very much, Gorilla Forilla, for being a patron. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I've lost some people recently ever since I've started trying to bulk it up a little bit more and talk about it a little more. My numbers actually have gone down, but that's what happens sometimes. And again, I only want people to support if they enjoy the work that I'm doing. If you don't enjoy it, then don't support. So I can't get upset about it. I'm going to continue running my channel as I always have and continue doing the things that I always have, giving my opinion, whether people like it or not. That's just the way it goes. I have to look back at how my channel got started. I started with 0 subs, 0 views, like everyone else starts. You put up a video, you get 1 sub, you get 2 subs, but it was only my opinion that I was giving out from the very beginning. I wasn't doing it for views. I wasn't doing it for subscribers, and that shows in my numbers. You can go look at my numbers. I have not been gaining subscribers on my channel. I've been stuck at 140,000 for quite a while, and that's the way it goes. Whatever I'm saying, people don't agree with, or they don't like, or they think I proved curve, or whatever they think. I can't stop them. I can't go around and say, no, but this is what happened, and this is what happened. I just would spend all my time defending myself, and there's no need for me to do that. I'm being honest. I'm giving my opinions. People enjoy it, at least some. And, I've got at this time like 150 patrons. So at least 150 people say, hey, we like what Jaron does. We appreciate the videos he makes, the content he provides, the discussions he has, the interviews he's done. We recognize that he wants to do more, that he wants to get better, and we support him for that. And I can't thank them enough, like I said. So thank you so much. So as far as M. Sargent, and I don't know what Nathan you're talking about. There's a lot of Nathans out there. But again, can they be trusted? You need to decide for yourself. It's not for me to tell you. Don't believe what I say. I don't know what you mean by, trusted. I don't think anybody is out shilling, as they call it, for Flat Earth. I just don't, And if they are in the community, well, then calling them out constantly and trying to point, then you better come with a hell of a lot of evidence. Because if not, you're just going to make them back down from their position and come at it from another angle, and we'll never get to the bottom of it. Let them expose themselves. There's a lot of people that have done that and are no longer in the community. And so eventually people will fall away. And you can think of that as you will. So if Patricia Steer was a shill, as many people have said, well, she came in, she did a bunch of interviews, went to the Flat Earth conferences, gave away awards at the ceremony, and then got tired of all the hate and she left. Is that shill behavior? Guess maybe if you want to think that, go ahead. I don't see it that way. I see it as a person who became a flat earther, who reached out to Mark Sargent, who got an interview on his channel, started interviewing other people, and just got her ass handed to her by trolls. And again, if you are constantly in the chats and in the comments and looking what all the bad things, people have told me that I should be put in a gas chamber, that I shouldn't procreate. Those kind of things are said about me. Well, if I just stayed on those and read those every day and this is what I mean by that's where eventually your channel will go, is you'll eventually have to disappear because you just can't take it anymore. So instead, I just do what I'm doing today. I'm putting forth my opinion, my efforts, my video, my comments, my news stories, videos I've watched for the week, and I let people decide for themselves if they want to continue watching. If you don't like the show, what are you doing listening to it right now? You know, that's the way I feel. And again, people have a hard time with that. People have an absolutely impossible time realizing that you should support what you like or it goes away. You should watch what you enjoy, or the person that's making the videos won't realize that their content is being enjoyed. And that's kind of how you monitor everything. And that's all I'm doing, is giving you my opinions, my thoughts. But as far as who can be trusted, you know, I can just tell you that myself, that's all I can tell you. You know, I can't tell you who else may be doing something. I would never tell you, oh, you absolutely should trust Mark Sargent, because I don't know. You know, it just comes down to whatever you want to believe, and don't let other people dictate towards you. I mean, there's channels out there making videos constantly about me. You can go watch those if you want. If that's what you want to do with your time, go do it. Enjoy it. They're going to be telling you lies. They're going to be making things up. They're going to be trying to tell you I'm doing this or that, or that I am shilling, or I purposely proved curve in the documentary, and they'll just tell you a bunch of nonsense. And again, I can't spend all day trying to tell you whether or not you should believe that. It's up to you. Thank you very much, John Bailey, for the New Zealand 5 Zealands. Roger White for his super chat, and Tabio 1989. Speaking of the Earthquake Edition, if people don't know, where was Jeren? Where was Jeranism on October 17th, 1989 for the 7.1 Loma Prieta earthquake? I was at Candlestick Park getting ready to watch the Giants and the A's Game 3 of the World Series. I was a young 9 years old. And then the earthquake hit. And I believe it was 10 days later that we went back to that game. My dad, myself, my brother, and my dad's good buddy. Very different times back then. That game was supposed to start, I believe, at 5:30. Earthquake happened at 5:04 p.m. I live about, or at the time, I lived about an hour and 15 minutes from Candlestick Park. And we didn't get home that next morning till 6 a.m., which is just crazy to think about. You know, they closed down the parking lot, didn't let anybody out of the parking lot. By the time you got to the freeway was just packed all the way home. I slept. Obviously, I was 9 years old. But we didn't get home till, you know, that next morning, 6:30 in the morning. But again, you know, they scared everybody's wits. And that was a, 7.1 earthquake that dropped freeways. So, again, was this earthquake that just happened to 7.1 that knocked some bottles off some shelves? Yeah, I don't know. You tell me. You got to, if you believe in science, they're the same thing. But again, we will rebuild. We did rebuild. And, that earthquake was a little bit more serious in the fact that people died. I believe the death total in these 7.4, 7.5, 2019, the great disasters, the great natural disasters of July 2019, I believe nobody died. So some bricks fell, but you wouldn't believe that by the news. They love to tell you, oh, this one was 10 times stronger, and if an 8 hit, it would be 50 times stronger. If 50 times stronger earthquake hit, oh my goodness, can you imagine? I can't. But again, these are the things that they do to scare people. Is the big one coming? Is this a precursor to the big one? You live in California, there's going to be earthquakes. That's just how it goes. So we'll talk about real quick the what's going on here. Fix that. All right. Let's go back to my browser. So real quick talk about the curve calculator. Okay, the curve calculator. Very interesting stuff here. As people know, this curve calculator is metabunk.org/curve, or you can just search your thing, metabunk curve. You'll get to this. This is where you put a distance in miles. Say we put in 12 or 13 miles as we did the mirror flashes recently across the Salton Sea. Wanted to go for more, but the day that we went to test was definitely murky with definite inferior mirage. And if you watched, I believe 2 weeks ago, my Sunday show, you can see some video of that. And I still need to put together some videos when I'm done with my movie about that. But again, 13 miles, the viewer height in feet doesn't really matter much when you're talking about the bulge. As you can see down here, there's a ridiculous bulge of 28 feet, yet we're able to see mirror flashes. Around 28 feet, imagine a 3-story building, somebody standing on the other side of it, flashing you with a mirror. You could never see it. You're blocked by the 3-story building. But not if you believe in a globe Earth. You just say, oh, well, it's traveling through the curving of the atmosphere, because, of course, everything has to go with the globe. So if you can see too far, oh, well, the curving is what causes that. You know, it's curving, and you're able to see mirror flashes for much longer than you'd be able to see on a globe. But anyway, this is the curve calculator, and many people have noticed this recent addition. Note, not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon, which is just now, this is what we're talking about. I mean, come on. Now, if you want to hear something funny, and again, I'm the one who, or not I'm the one, but people have proclaimed, hey, the reason this was added was right after I did my video about the mirror flashes. It was the day after. I literally did a video with Wendell. We showed this. We were showing this. This wasn't on there. The next day, we were down at the Salton Sea, and somebody told me, did you see what was added? And we were down at the Salton Sea on that, I believe it was the Saturday. Did we go down there Saturday, Sunday? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so Saturday, the day that we were down there scouting the position, somebody showed me and said, look what's been added. I was like, oh, great. So now, you got to be kidding me. So anyway, what we're going to be looking at here is a video from Flat Earth Dude. It was streamed live on June 27, 2019. It's called PPC Hangout Day 150921 with Mick West. I just want you guys to hear Mick West tell us why he added that. And it's quite hilarious. Let's have a listen. That's not the play button. This is. There we go.
Well, that's what it says, 60 foot.
Right, let's
Live on a
see.
boat.
Go to curve calculator. Let me just make sure we're talking about the same thing here.
Yep.
So, it was 12 miles.
So this is Mick West going into the curve calculator himself, sharing his screen and talking about the very calculator that he made that's on his site.
Set, and you were, what, like 4 feet?
Yeah,
so it
4,
says
4.
here 50 feet hidden refraction with standard refraction, or 60 feet hidden.
Hi, Mick West. Ranty
Hello.
here. I noticed you're doing an observation over water, and you're putting these distances in. Can you read what that red sort of like little bit that you've put into your curve calculator says there, please?
Yeah, it says not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon.
So you just had Ranty Flat Earth. Shout out to Ranty. By the way, we're going to be watching one of his roundtables here in a second. But Ranty Flat Earth pops in and says, can you just read for us what it says there that you've added? And, of course, Mick West just read it. Not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon, which is exactly where we need to do observations, because the water is supposedly flat. It's level, and doing it over land is an impossible task. And so we're trying to do these observations over water, but now it's not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon, which is exactly where you would do these observations. But let's listen.
Oh, that's an issue, isn't it?
It's an issue, but what we're looking at here is the top of the lighthouse, which gives you a bit better thing. The things very close to the horizon are like, you saw in that photo that Jez showed earlier, when you were very close to the water, we were getting a bit of upward refraction and a bit of mirroring. So it's those types of things that really is the issue. There is actually mirroring.
There's no mirroring, no reflection in that photo.
No, there actually there really is. Did you email it to me? Because I could probably demonstrate it if you.
I just wondered why you put that in. I wondered why you put that in, Mick.
It's mostly to do with the laser observations and the mirror flash observations.
So he just admitted now that the reason he put that in is because of the laser observations and the mirror observations. So the very observations that are disproving the curve calculator are the reason why he's had to add note, this curve calculator is not accurate for observations that disprove it. What? Are you kidding me? Let's continue. I rewind it just a hair here so you can hear that again. And let's listen to the rest.
I just wondered why you put that in. I wondered why you put that in, Mick.
It's mostly to do with the laser observations and the mirror flash observations, because those are done like right at the horizon.
I see. So you're saying they're inaccurate then, because they saw them. So because they saw these mirror flashes and it didn't conform to your globe model, you decided to dismiss the observations by putting in a little caveat in red letters saying that
No,
the curve
no,
calculator isn't accurate for observations over water.
No.
You've just
what
told me.
happened.
You've just said that that's what you did it for because
No,
because of the mirror
I
flashes.
didn't say that. You just said that.
I didn't bring up the mirror flashes. You brought the mirror flashes
Right.
up.
Okay. Also, let me explain then. Like I did it basically to explain what was going on with the mirror flashes.
Oh, go on. So tell me what was going on with the mirror flashes then. Tell me why you needed to put this in.
When you get very, very close to the water, like within a few feet of it, you probably notice this yourself, that there's a temperature gradient. So if you got the water like a few degrees colder than the air, then the air that's very close to the water is also pretty cold compared to the air like a few feet higher than that, let's say 10 feet up. So you get a very steep temperature gradient. And because of this, you get
buildings just don't pop up, mate.
No. Well, that's
you know what I'm saying.
I'm trying to answer Ranter's question here, but the reason is the reason you're getting this. Well, the reason that it's a problem is that when you've got a temperature gradient, it bends light around. So if you've only got something that's right at the horizon level, it bends it a lot more.
So what you're saying then, it's temperature that bends the earth?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying temperature gradients change the density of the air, which changes the refractive index, which gives you a refractive index gradient, which bends the light.
So when you say the light, I mean, when you've done this as an experiment, I assume it's been done in some kind of experimental way. Are we talking about a laser beam here, something that we can track from one side to the other? Or are we talking about ambient light, the light looking at buildings?
So, just hopefully you guys see the hilarity that is globe Earth belief. Hey, thank you very much, Mike, Wake the Sheeple. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. But hopefully you can see what Mick West has done here. And again, it's up to you to decide. You can still believe in the Earth curve calculator. You can still believe in the presupposition. You can still beg the question with that calculator if you want. Go ahead. I don't. I just don't see the need for it, especially when, as soon as we start proving with mirror flashes that we're simply seeing a flash of the mirror, which can only happen when there's no obstruction. Don't know how many times I have to say that. But it'll just never get through to people who can just simply say, oh, well, it's not accurate now for things close to the horizon. So I mentioned before that if I talked to the independent investigations group, Spencer, I believe, I don't remember the other guy's name. I don't think it was Spencer that I spoke to specifically about it. But I spoke to the other guy and asked him about these mirror flashes from long distances, and he said, oh, well, no, you're seeing it because it's traveling through the duct of air that is attached to the Earth as it bends around. So this is why I just get so frustrating, because again, what are we going to go out and do? It doesn't matter if we show mirror flashes from 20 miles, which the flat reality Earth explorers have already showed it from 19 miles. But let's say we go out and do 20 miles, 30 miles. It doesn't matter, because these guys will just be able to say, oh, well, the curve calculator isn't accurate anymore because you're disproving it. So if you disprove it, it's not accurate anymore. Again, put in a distance of miles of 19 like they did. Again, the viewer height in feet doesn't matter because you obviously have to see over the hump when we're talking about the hump. So what's the bulge at the 19 miles? 60 feet. That's a 6-story building. In between you and somebody who's flashing you with a mirror on the other side of 19 miles. And when you're able to see that, somebody can just say, oh, well, it's actually traveling up and over the 60-foot hump. And again, observation is not accurate for very large observations over water very close to the horizon or whatever nonsense Mick West feels like putting in today. So, again, if we saw 100 miles mirror flashes, oh, sorry, it's not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon. What? Then what is this for? Only the observations that show globe? I don't get it. It's a crazy. Let's see here. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? I think so. By the way, if you are not catching my show on Monday nights, that is tomorrow. Jeranism Monday Night Raw, every Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific, usually hosted by myself and David Weiss. Sometimes Missa stops in, but check it out. You should do that at tfrlive.com. Also, I've been simulcasting Hour 1 on my Jeranism Raw YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that if you are not already. you should be. And by the way, one more thing I wanted to mention, shout out to Mid-Valley Insurance. If you're in California and you need car insurance, you need homeowners insurance or something like that, or you need renter's insurance, or you have no insurance, give a call to Mid-Valley. Tell them Jeranism sent you. They'll be happy to give you a great deal. 1-888-626-3255. So shout out to Mid-Valley Insurance. If you need insurance for whatever reason, 888-626-3255. Again, I didn't have insurance on my Honda Accord. Neighbor hit it, destroyed the front end, made me a bunch of promises, told me not to call the cops. They weren't insured. They weren't licensed. Please don't call the cops. I said, okay. Well, in the end, I got nothing for it. I was able to eventually sell that car for $800. Bought it for $4,000. And that's a big loss. All because I didn't have insurance myself. So since then, hey, I'm now a customer of Mid-Valley Insurance. So give them a call, 888-626-3255, if you're interested in insurance. If not, don't call them. Wouldn't make any sense to do so. Let's move on to something else now. And again, all these links, as I mentioned, 2 different videos that we're watching will be in the description. One of the things that I've been talking about recently, this one was rather sad to see, but Roundtable episode 6. So Ranty Flat Earth is doing a show called Flat Earth Roundtable. Here you can see it. Aquí. There you go. Ranty Flat Earth Roundtable, where he's been allowing even a baller or a flat earther or a person in the middle or a globe skeptic or a flat earth skeptic, whatever you want to call all these people, to come on and give a presentation about a certain subject. The other day, somebody linked me to this one while it was live, and at first, and I think Ranty has taken that out of my name was in the title because the person, BM Dirtball, oh wait, what is that? BM Fuzzball? I can't read it. BM Furball. Came into this and decided his title would be Jeranism and Lines of Southern Longitude or something. I don't know what it was. Anyway, in this video, let me make it a little bit bigger for you. There we go. It's a little better. In this video, he goes on to try and debunk me. And let me show you the problem I have with videos like this and how I don't have time to listen to people make mistakes in presentations like this. But I understand and agree with Ranty's position. I'm not saying Ranty shouldn't have videos like this or shouldn't do shows like this because it's good. It shows these people for what they are. This guy came and did a presentation trying to prove me wrong, and let me just show you some nonsense that was said in it. Let's begin here.
Southern Hemisphere required on a flat Earth.
All right, here you see I've brought up Flight Radar 24. So he's starting out with a segment of me talking about the possibility that flights can be flying a lot further than we know, simply based on the fact that when you look at the distances that they're traveling, and hopefully you can see here, well, I'll go ahead and play it and I'll stop it when I need to show you something, which is a site where you can track flights, and I've just typed in Sydney to Santiago, and if we zoom in here you can see what happens. And the problem that we have with these flights is that as soon as they take off from Sydney, gets out over the open water and of course drops off and just skips to that next location, and then it will fly over New Zealand there, and again once it gets to a certain spot it just disappears from radar until it appears all the way on the other side over here by Santiago, Chile. So again, you can see that this plane got up to almost 680. I think I saw 680. So real quick, just notice over here, let me make sure you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, this is Santiago, Chile, and you'll notice how this plane's flight does a big U and comes up here, you know, south of the tip here of South America, and then kind of comes up here into Santiago as it flies in. Let's continue. 84 miles per hour ground speed, and then it disappears. So we have no idea how fast this plane could be possibly traveling once it gets up high enough to be in those jet streams and traveling across the Southern Ocean. And then you don't see it till it hits the other side. So we have no idea what's happening in this downtime where the satellites can't pick up, I guess, the speeds of this plane. And so this is just a little quick example that I made here. Let's say we've got a plane going Sydney to Santiago as we just showed. That travels 7,000 miles in 12 hours, which is about the average flight time. 7,000 divided by 12 equals 583 miles per hour. All right, but what about the jet stream? So remember, it's helping the plane with close to 250 mile per hour wind. And the reason I say that, and the video that he's showing you is earlier in that video, I was showing an article that says planes are flying faster than the speed of sound, and they're being helped by 250 mile per hour winds in that direction at that altitude. So we do the math from there. So if the plane is being helped, well, 583 miles per hour minus 250, is the plane actually going 333 miles per hour, and then it's getting the extra 250 to end up at 583? Well, that doesn't sound very efficient, does it? So let's look at it this way. What if that plane was actually going 625 miles per hour, which we saw, ground speed. We also know that that's easily under the speed of sound. 625 miles per hour plus 250 miles per hour, which would be the most efficient thing, is 875 miles per hour ground speed. Okay, so a plane from Sydney to Santiago could be going 875 miles per hour for 12 hours. 875 times 12 is 10,500 miles instead of 7,000 miles. I mean, quite a difference, right? So I pointed that out and still stand behind that. And then, by the way, let me just see if I take it back just a second here. I was also talking about what if the plane is going 625? It could be going much faster than that. We have to, of course, believe what we're told about the speed of sound, which makes no sense to me that as you get higher up where there's less and less atmosphere, why the speed of sound would get slower. You know, it seems like the speed of sound would be faster because there's less air for it to travel through. But again, that's not the way that they tell us. And again, who am I? I don't go up to the 35,000 feet to test the speed of sound. But anyway, this could be 675, 700, and then you can add the 250 to it. And again, in all the things that I can find, we don't even know what those speeds could be. A little bit higher up, a little bit lower down. And another thing that was mentioned in the chat, if you watch the chat on this video, and again, the link will be in the description. If you watch the chat, people say there is no evidence that the speeds go the other way, Jaron, blah blah blah. Which there is. I've shown before that if you even just lower it down to 25 or something thousand feet, that you can find jet streams going in the opposite direction. Obviously, if you just have to think about that yourself. But anyway, he continues on here before he makes his mistakes. So times 12 is 10,500 miles instead of 7,000 miles. I mean, quite a difference, right?
So Jaron is questioning the distance and speed of the airplanes as located off of New Zealand and off of the coast of Chile.
Correct.
So let's take that information and see what does it tell us with basic geometry.
Here we go again.
So
if the world exists on basic geometry. Here we go. Math is reality again. Here we
Our
go.
location off of New Zealand, a little bit off of the coast, kind of like Jaron showed. This is about the point where it dropped off of the GPS. And then we've also got our location off of Chile.
So he shows
now,
Santiago.
To figure out this in geometry, we need the distance between the North Pole and that spot off the coast of New Zealand.
Okay, so remember what he's going to do. He's trying to get the distance between the North Pole and this spot off New Zealand and then Santiago, Chile. Let's watch the numbers he comes up with.
And when we measure that, we find that it is 14,846 kilometers from the North Pole.
Okay, so he's saying it's 14,846 kilometers. Let me bring up Google Earth just so we can follow along here and see if what he's saying is accurate. So this is the Google Earth picture, and we're just going to real quick grab the map here. Remember, he's measuring to just off of New Zealand here. And again, this is the model that the reification fallacy tells you live on. Let's see here. We're going to go down here just to see what this distance is and see if we're getting that. By the way, I have it in kilometers just because I don't want, well, he's using kilometers, so I'll use kilometers even though I hate to use them. All right, so this distance right here to this point that I just did, which is right down here, which is about where that flight goes, right, is 14,823 kilometers. Okay, so if we head back here and see, what did he say? He shows 14,846. All right. So far his distance matches what his globe model tells him, which again, this is all just fallacy laced. The entire presentation is a presupposition. He doesn't understand that this is nothing but a globe projection. Nobody's saying this is what the Earth is. Nobody's saying it floats in space with stars behind it like he's showing. But of course, that's where they have to go. It's their only way to get their point across. Let's continue.
So that is our measurement number one.
Measurement number one. Thank you.
Now we have our location off of Chile.
Okay, our location
And you'll
off of
notice
Chile.
that it is a significant distance farther north.
Wait a second. Now he's saying we have this distance off of Chile, which, okay, it seems interesting where he drew that line to, and says it's a significant distance further north. How much more significance? Let's
on
see.
the map.
Okay.
We'll just say that rather than a globe. And the distance between that location and the North Pole is 8,798 kilometers.
What? 8,798 kilometers from the North Pole to Chile? Hold on a second. Let's bring this up again. Let's go back to Google Earth and show you. This is done as part of a presentation. Remember that. Where is Google Earth? Here we go. And just to bring it up so you can see, I think I can turn this on. Yeah, there we go. So I added a little thing up here. He's basically saying that from the North Pole to this spot off New Zealand is 14,846 kilometers. And to Chile, it's 8,790. It's almost half. Does this red line look half the distance of this one? What is this guy talking about? Let's clear that. We're going to go up here. And we're going to take it from the North Pole again. And we're going to bring it down to what he said, 8,000. What did he say? 8,700 something. Okay, let's go. Oops. Went too far. 8,700 kilometers is here. Is that anywhere near Chile? Santiago, Chile's way down here. Okay, the distance to Santiago, Chile, according to your model, is 13,680 kilometers. Well, what is he talking about? Why does he have 8,798 written down? What is he talking about? 8,798, again, let me put it at 8,798. Oops, 8,798, still north of here, is there. Is this guy kidding me? Just lying. He's just making up numbers. It's quite hilarious. Let's continue on because it's pretty classic. Go back to the video so you can see the video. Let's go back to here. 8,798. Give me a break.
So we now have our distance 2 for our triangle.
What?
Now, on a globe...
I think your distances are quite off, sir. Let's fast forward this a little bit now. He gave the whole presentation, at which point I was just pissed and stopped listening. Like, why would I even address this? This is the kind of nonsense, though, that if you're out watching other people's channels that are trying to debunk me, that you're going to get. Let's go to here, and this is when, at this point, what Ranty does is he allows the chat to start asking questions. So, of course, I'm in there trying to ask this guy, like, what are you talking about? Please do your homework. Please look at your numbers before you try and debunk me.
Yeah, there are two different types of maths.
Okay, so jeranism in the chat, he wants some clarity about the data that you inputted. So he wants to know if you showed 14,846 to New Zealand and 8,798 to Santiago from the North Pole.
I'd have to double check, but I think that's about what it was. And that was the locations off the coast as a ballpark approximation of where...
Ballpark approximation where you're off by 6,000 kilometers? You're so off, it's not even funny.
The plane left the map from the...
Remember I showed you guys where the plane actually left the map? He drew his line way up north. What is going on? Remember I showed the map, and if you're talking about where the plane comes from, it came from way down here. And he was saying where the plane left the map to where it came. He drew a line to up here somewhere, and 8,000 kilometers is way up here. So he's not even close. Let's continue on.
The flight tracker.
Okay, shout out to JQ for giving a super chat which says BM Furb.
Okay, let's go a little bit further here. As I tried to get my point across by asking questions over and over again, this is the kind of thing that just wastes my time. I shouldn't have to deal with this, and if somebody wouldn't have linked me to this, I probably wouldn't have seen it during the live show. But let's continue.
How much further north is Santiago?
Across the sky per hour, it doesn't matter what the actual size of the sphere.
So I'm trying to point out here, hey guy, your numbers are wrong. How much further north? He said that Santiago, Chile is significantly further north than the New Zealand that he drew. Again, we can go back and look at Google Earth and see, is Santiago, Chile significantly further north? Let's see. So right here, if we look at about 33 degrees is where I would say Santiago is, and New Zealand is, sorry, let me spin this around. Oops, other way. New Zealand is right down here. Significantly further north? What if you look at it this way? They're right there. Is that significantly further north? What are you talking about? It's not even close to significantly. So I'm trying to point that out. Let's continue on.
Here is.
Question from
That just
Jeranism.
changes the speed of it.
Question from Jeranism. How much further north is Santiago, Chile to New Zealand?
I think I even mentioned, well, based upon those numbers, what was it, 18,000 or 8,000 and 14,000? It's Santiago, Chile is significantly closer to the
No, it's not.
North Pole.
No. Sorry. Your numbers for your entire
You'll notice I'm
presentation
not
are wrong.
interfering here. It's like I ask the questions and literally it's whatever you say, I'll try and repeat the questions verbatim as I get them, and literally, it's you against the chat basically. So,
Yeah,
so
I was just
try
trying
not
to,
interfere.
without trying to understand what the, kind of like the basis behind the question is.
The basis is
But
your
yeah, it
numbers
is significantly farther north.
No, you're significantly wrong. Let's go a little bit further here.
Even seen that word before, so I wouldn't know how to say it. Jeranism says that Santiago, Chile is 13,705 kilometers to the North Pole. Your numbers are wrong.
Right.
I was going for the location, but I have to check.
Yeah, you're off by 6,000 kilometers.
Well, he's stating that your numbers are wrong.
Yeah.
And ask him again for what the two numbers are.
Now here comes the most classic quote of the day. You ready for the quote of the day, everyone? Here it goes.
If I'm wrong, then I did the math wrong. I don't think that changes the results, but
if I'm wrong, then I did the math wrong, but that doesn't change the results. Are you kidding me? If you do the math wrong, that doesn't change the results of your mathematic equation?
I'll run the math again. Yeah, I'm not above being told that I'm wrong.
Good.
Okay, like I say, I'm not going to measure it out for you. I'm not going to check myself.
I'm not going to.
This guy, I just can't believe it. And then if you're reading the chat over here, it's just classic. This, idiot here, Sean Hawkins. According to the laws of perspective, parallel lines never cross, Jaron, and people at the equator see Polaris just above the horizon. That would mean that Polaris is at eye level. How can that be? It's the same way you can see, you can look down at a bunch of streetlights and see a streetlight at the eye level. Well, how can that be? Parallel lines never cross. I believe in geometry. I believe that geometry is the answer to everything, which we'll get to that here shortly as well. But anyway, enough of that. If you guys want to check out that show, I do think it's a good show, other than when he has people on that are trying to say things that I'm saying are wrong when they just can't even get their numbers right. I mean, it's just a waste of time. But just to point out, BM Furball, Dirtball, and then Ranty Flat Earth did write me and earlier and says, also, BM Furball admitted that he screwed up the distances to me earlier. Also, in my handling of his presentation, I asked him, okay, so you're saying even if you got the calculation completely wrong, your assertion is still the same, that you are right and Jaron is wrong? He said yes. LOL. Shane says, I couldn't make it up, honestly. Even when they are wrong, they are right. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with the curve calculator and with people like this and globe believers. It doesn't matter what I do. And this is why I can't address everyone that's got a problem with things I say. Because it doesn't matter if I'm right, I'm wrong. They can just claim, they can make up distances and just say, no, this is why Jaron's wrong because I made up these distances. And everybody in that chat, if you go watch that video again, the link will be in the description. Go watch the chat and watch all the globers saying, nope, he's right, Jaron, you're wrong. He has got the wrong distances. And yet they will just go on and on. Why? Because they don't care about the truth. They don't care about anything I have to say. Doesn't matter if I said the sky is blue, they would tell me I'm wrong. If I said the grass is green, they would say no, it's an off shade of green. Whatever it is, I'm a liar. I'm making things up. So again, I hope people just recognize that and accept that. And from what I've heard from most people, they don't watch other people who trying to debunk me for that same reason. That these guys are always wrong. They'll make things up. They'll just say whatever. So again, choose what you watch wisely. But again, I think what Ranty's doing is a good thing, other than that guy whose entire presentation was a begging the question fallacy, a reification fallacy, assuming that we live on this ball and assuming these he's basing distances too off make-believe lines of longitude. What? This is what he's basing it like, as if that is, these are the facts, that we have these lines, these invisible lines across the earth that we can measure everything by. What are you talking about? Don't you realize that somebody has given you all that and told you this? And if you're just going to go into every conversation and believe those to be true, then you're damn right the Earth's a sphere. If you're just going to believe everything that they've given us is true and then go into a debate, then you're right, the Earth's a sphere. Oh, so wait, what is it? This is why I talked about these guys who go into these debates. They're coming with all this evidence that if you consider the scientific body of evidence that they're bringing as true, just because they say it is, then how are you going to compete? All we can do is keep making videos, keep pointing these things out, keep pointing out that you wouldn't know how fast these planes are going. And again, it's up to them to make up something new. What can they make up this time? And that's all they do, is continue to make things up about me, about my videos, about the distances. They're just making up distances. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Pretty crazy. Let's move on to something more hilarious. And I did speed this up to about 1.25 just to get through it a little faster. This is hilarious to me. We're going to watch just let me bring this over here. There we go. We're going to watch a short video. We're not going to watch a whole lot of it, but this is what happens when theoretical physics have gotten out of hand. The belief that everything Einstein said is true have gotten out of hand. That people believing in the stars and the universe and the vacuum of space and the spinning ball have gotten out of hand. Okay, Joe Rogan just had somebody on his show this week. This was published on July 4th, 2019. As you can see from the JRE clips, there's a much longer version, which is painful to watch. Joe Rogan Experience 1320. Again, I'm doing this for commentary, Joe or Jamie. Critique, which should be allowed under fair use. I know you guys will claim this video, even though I'm just pointing to one of your little conversations. It should get you some views, but no, when anybody tries to critique the things that you have to say, and this is just hilarious. So he's got this guy, Eric Small Hat Weinstein, on his show, and this is just hilarious. It's called "It's Time to Leave This Planet." And we just have to listen to this so that we can laugh together, so that we can enjoy the hilarity that is these people who think that they're smart. And this is considered intelligent talk. When you start talking about the stuff this guy talks about, let's listen.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Want to get really nuts?
Yes.
It's time to leave.
Time to leave what?
This planet.
Oh, boy. Listen, we can leave this planet. I got something right here.
It's time to leave this planet, says Eric Smallhat.
No.
Take you to another planet right now.
He's joking, federal agents. Let me give you my argument.
Where are we going?
Give me your argument.
Well, we don't know that we can leave this planet.
I love this planet.
I love this planet.
I have a good time here.
This is my favorite planet.
Mine too.
I know.
But here's his favorite planet, and then he just says we need to leave. It's time to leave this planet. It's my favorite planet.
So it's the real reasoning.
Okay.
We started a clock around 1953, which is when we had the explosion at Bikini, the first hydrogen bomb.
Oh,
and when we figured out the double helix.
Oh, we figured
And I call this the twin nuclei problem. It began in 1953. In 1953, we started a clock. It was also the height of the McCarthy era.
Right. Oh, that made a lot of sense.
We do not have the wisdom to be able to fuse nuclei. We don't have the wisdom to be able to investigate the cell. It's too much power.
Oh.
So our wisdom may have increased slightly. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. But our power is now godlike.
So
our power is now what?
Biological intelligence.
Our power is now godlike because of a Bikini Atoll.
What our minds are capable of has not. It's been surpassed by our intellectual achievements in terms of our technological innovations.
These things, which while complicated, succumb to our intellects, right?
Right.
Like they're much simpler than we ever imagined.
What?
To be able to create something that normally happens in the sun on an island in the Pacific, or to be able to rewrite a cell the way Craig Venter did, with synthetic biology.
Yeah, synthetic biology, rewriting the cell. To be able to do that is far surpasses our intelligence and our magnificent brains. They do and they don't keep up with the thought processes of man in all its glory.
We are now gods, but for the wisdom.
We are now gods, but for the wisdom.
And
that's a great quote.
No, it's not.
We are now gods, but for the wisdom.
It's stupid.
Should be a meme. Picture of you.
Yeah, it should be a meme.
Picture you.
It's
We are now
ridiculous.
gods, but for the
We are now gods, but for the wisdom.
That's going to be up there.
Continue.
Someone's doing
Focus.
that right now.
I know. Let's not focus. Focus.
Sorry.
Okay. So that started this clock.
The clock.
And the world's most serious human beings should be working on the twin nuclei problem. What do we do with new godlike powers given our history of conflict, our history of envy,
Godlike powers. We have godlike powers now. If it wasn't for the wisdom, but for the wisdom.
history of madness, right? Because we succumb regularly. We are, I was born 20 years after the end of World War II, and we all know what really happened there. I mean, we're nuts. We're absolutely not capable of this level of responsibility. And so the question that we have is, do we believe that we have a long-term solution in terms of increasing our wisdom? We should definitely try. Everybody believes that should work on that problem. But if we don't think that we have the wisdom to live like this,
right?
We don't know how much time we have left, but it's probably not hundreds. I mean, it's probably maybe a few hundred years tops.
Oh.
Because sooner or later you're going to have Putin-like or Trump-like people.
Oh, here we go. Now it's Putin and Trump-like people are going to get rid of all the people. So we only have 100 years left. Oh, if we weren't gods, but for the wisdom.
I mean, I'm sorry, I would have a very deep antipathy towards Donald Trump.
Oh, do you?
He's not temperamentally fit to have the secrets of theoretical physics at his fingertips.
He's not theoretically fit to have the secrets of theoretical physics at his fingertips. What are you smoking?
He just isn't. And it's imperative to me that he not be elected in 2020. And that
Imperative. It's imperative that we get Joe Biden or that Elizabeth Warren blows away in the wind as our president.
Democratic Party wake up and get rid of its crazy fringe so that we can buy some time. And it's nice if Elon
Right, we got to buy some time. Well, it's also nice if Elon what?
thinks we can go to Mars.
Right.
Maybe that will allow a small number of us to
That will allow a small number of us to what?
diversify in case we do something really dumb to the planet.
Oh, so now we're going to take people to Mars. Elon Musk has never put a person in orbit. He's never launched a person in a rocket. But he's going to send people to Mars. We're going to have a colony there. It's going to be probably 1 million people. They're all going to have jobs. They're all going to grow potatoes in tents on this mystery rock in the sky. Give me a freaking break. It's ridiculous that people have fallen this far into nonsense. It's ridiculous. And this is considered smart. Joe Rogan thinks this is a smart conversation. This is really intelligent here. This Eric Weinstein's it's a small hat talking about everything that is intelligent. This is really intelligent stuff here.
But if human beings are to continue and we are to continue evolving, we need to spread out. And there are 3 rocks that are inhabitable. There's the Earth, there's the Moon, and there's Mars. And the
Right.
Moon has nothing there. Mars is pretty uninteresting, to be blunt. I know that it's beautiful that we send back these pictures. And we've got this one gorgeous planet that we are clearly not smart enough to steward.
So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, I kind of agree with him, Jaron. He's saying that the rocks have nothing on them, Mars and the Moon, and this beautiful planet is all we have. But why is it called it's time to leave the planet? How is this guy thinking of leaving the planet? Wait till you hear.
Still having idiotic climate change debates.
Oh.
I mean, even if climate science is somewhat junkified,
Yeah, it's big time.
we should still be taking climate super seriously because we don't know what we're doing. It's such a complicated nonlinear system, and we're not even capable of focusing.
Such a complicated nonlinear system.
2 seconds
That's
later, I'll be watching the Kardashians for sure.
Watching the Kardashians.
So what is the answer? Well,
What
in
is the
my
answer?
opinion,
Okay.
we got to increase the number of possible places we can go beyond 3.
What? How? What
To
are
say
you
nothing of space stations, because that's not realistic. None of these things make sense.
No, they
So the
don't.
first place that you have to get to is we're really deeply screwed, and not because of apocalyptic cult-like reasons.
Why
Just
not
because
then?
of science.
Oh.
Just because of 1953.
Oh, because of the Bikini Atoll.
So the only opportunity is if we can break the Einsteinian speed limit, so far as I know. Or we can.
He says as far as he knows, the only possibility is breaking the Einsteinian speed limit. What are you talking about? Holy smokes. You know, for people who don't know, I'm like on day 70 something of my giving up marijuana for the summer. And I might give it up for life if this is the kind of thing that you start talking about when you are way too high.
Upload into Silicon, or we can reboot from tardigrades. Like,
we can upload into Silicon or reboot from tardigrades? What
none of
are
these answers
you
are good.
smoking?
So,
Joe's like,
what I've been
what?
toying with since I was 19
since you were 19. What? Tell me.
What is the theory beyond Einstein?
Okay.
And that's the thing that I've been most uncomfortable talking about. Although I've been talking about it more. I gave these lectures in 2013, in May of 2013.
Your lectures
in Oxford,
have done so much for us.
and I was appalled by the way in which the world's physics community responded.
Right.
I mean, I was very scared. I'm not a physicist.
Freaking nuts.
I don't claim to be.
No, thank goodness.
But I felt like I tried to present what I hoped was a path forward, given that the field was completely stalled out.
What is the path forward? I need to know.
This is it. Physics and biology led us into the valley of death.
What? Physics and biology?
And it's now time to try to get out.
Let's get out.
And people...
How are we going to get out?
Please, keep going.
Please go. Keep going.
What is my responsibility in terms of the portal?
The portal. What is his responsibility in terms of the portal? This lunatic thinks he's going to make a portal that people can escape through, breaking the Einsteinian speed limit to get to other rocks besides the 3 rocks in the sky. Is this guy out of his mind? Is anyone paying attention? And people are just home eating this up. Like, this guy's so smart. He's right. We need to create the portal. The portal is the way out of here. We need to leave this planet through the portal.
What I'm going to try to do with this podcast is gain the courage to share whatever ideas I've had
about the portal,
about breaking the speed limit in the form of, I don't think I have the wisdom to...
I don't think so either.
Figure out what it means.
No.
But at least I have a hope of trying to write the fundamental rules, to figure out our source code. And that was...
To write the fundamental rules and to figure out the source code. Figure out the source code for what, lunatic?
Is the plan, which is, what is this place? What is the source code for reality?
What is the source code for reality? There is no source code, dingbat. There is no source code for reality. It's reality. These people have lost their minds. I listened to Sam Tripoli's podcast, Tinfoil Hat, with Eddie Bravo and David Icke recently. And David Icke comes on and he's talking some good stuff about, the powers that should not be. And then all of a sudden he starts talking about planets and galaxies and how many other worlds there are. And oh boy, it's just so sad to see these people, how deep they are in just the nonsense and believing it all. Even somebody like David Icke, you'd think he'd have his eyes open. Obviously not. He believes in all this theoretical bullshit that's been built on faulty foundations, that's been built on nonsense. And then he starts talking about, this world isn't solid. I don't know if you know about Wi-Fi, but in Wi-Fi, there's little bits of information. But where are they? Well, this is reality, but the Wi-Fi is reality flying through. No, it's not. The Wi-Fi is information being sent from this reality to another place in this reality. It's just information. We're not sending physicalness. You're not going to break the speed limit of Einstein. You're not going to send people through portals into other places in the sky. That's nonsense.
Now, what was the response to the physics from the physicists?
They should have called them crazy.
There were 2 articles that appeared in the Guardian newspaper or website that talked breathlessly about what I had done or what I might have done.
You didn't do anything.
To call attention to the lectures that I was giving. So these were the special Simone lectures by Richard Dawkins' successor, Marcus de Soto.
Oh, Richard Dawkins' successor. There's a successor to the atheist priest. Thank goodness that there's a priest successor. He's the next high priest. They're replacing high priests at this point. That's good.
Who is a colleague of mine from way back.
Good for him.
Who found me in New York City, I think in 2011, 2012 or something like that, working on
the portal.
this theory I called geometric unity.
Oh, geometric unity.
And I was very uncomfortable. I hadn't really told anybody that I was working on this theory for all those years because it's a crazy, there's certain stories that you find in theoretical physics, which are kind of the precursor to madness.
Right, they're nonsense.
Where, somebody thinks that they've solved
and look where you've gone.
Some big problem and they're working in secret. This is sort of what happened with Andrew Wiles and Fermat's last theorem, which was a really interesting story because...
And now you think you've solved the ability to send people through a portal because you're trying to come up with the source code for reality. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the nonsense that this whole Elon Musk and it's all AI and there's 1 in a billion chance that we are a base level reality. It's all bullshit. Look at what they're blowing up your asses. Holy smolies.
His first proof of Fermat's last theorem, I think, was unfixable. So he announced a proof that he had solved this most famous problem in mathematics, and he didn't have a proof. And then bizarrely, he was under such pressure that he found another proof. And actually pulled it off. So it's hats off to him. It's one of the craziest stories. But he was working in secret for 7 years, and nobody knew what he was doing.
Right.
So sometimes these stories work out. But he was a professor at Princeton and very highly regarded. And he had sort of husbanded 7 years worth of work to pretend that he was releasing papers when he was actually secretly doing this thing that would...
Now, the thing is, there's Joe Rogan who will sit there and listen to this stuff and just be like, this guy's way smarter than me. I can't even comment on it. I can't say anything about it. And there's people like me that say, maybe this guy's smarter than me, but he's full of shit. Period. He's completely and totally full of shit. It's nonsense. And people eat it up. Oh, are you going to listen to the new podcast where this guy comes up with a portal? He's going to come up with the base level equations, the source code for reality. If you think that is possible, exit my channel, stage right or left or central or back doors, whatever you need to do, get out of here. Go listen to this guy talk about the portal.
Would have made him a madman in some sense.
You're a madman.
And so this is what I was trying to do. Is I was not able to work on these issues in the string theory community because the string theory community was possessed of this belief that they had found the answer back in the 80s. In 1984, they had what they thought was a revolution. And
I love the deep talk. And, the string community were so involved in all the nonsense that I couldn't get involved in their nonsense, so I had to go and create my own nonsense about a portal.
The math community doesn't think in these terms. Both of these are very conservative communities historically,
right,
and very focused on following the leadership of the top people unless there's a revolution.
He's right about that.
And so I started working on a different idea to unify the two branches of physics that appear to be incompatible, that was different than the string theory idea and different than the loop quantum gravity idea or any of the others.
And your main motivation?
The loop quantum gravity idea. Does people not understand these guys are so far in left field, it's not even funny. They're out past the bleachers. They're out past the street. They're out of the city. They don't even play in the field anymore. They just don't even play in the same city. They're just gone. Look what theoretical physics has done to people, and they think it's smart. The source code for the portal.
Was to do this to try to figure out a more advanced version of space travel?
Well, it wasn't space travel. It was we need the source code. It might be safer to go further. Once you've unlocked nuclear fusion, you're pretty much as screwed as you need to be.
What?
So then the issue is, okay, we know that I'm pretty sure that Einstein's theory is not final because you get these singularities, which I don't associate with ultimate equations. So the black hole singularity called the Schwarzschild singularity, or the initial singularity that we associate with the Big Bang.
Do people not understand, or the initial singularity that we result with the Big Bang? This is all built off of bullshit. All of it. The universe that we have been handed, the fantasy of space travel, is all built upon men's worldviews that there can be no creator, that the earth is a small speck, that it's minuscule, it's unimportant, it's not, it isn't what we know it is, which is the center, which is everything, which is of prime importance. But look what science has done to people. This guy has lost his mind. So, sorry I had to pause it so much, but hopefully that gets around, but I'm sure it'll be claimed right away. Anyway, that is so worth listening to the rest of at least that 32-minute. This video is 32 minutes. It's time to leave this planet. Eric Small Hat Weinstein. Go ahead and check it out. It's classic. Leaving is not an option, folks. This is what they've taught you. That we can go with Elon Musk to Mars Another super chat from Joshua Doyle who said, Matt Damon taught us all how to grow potatoes on Mars. That's true. And Elon Musk is going to be taking a community, a colony, because there's just all these people signing up for being shipped for 8 months in a craft to go and start living on Mars, even though there's no water, there's no nothing, there's no infrastructure, there's zero. People would all just destroy themselves, kill each other. It's all such fantasy. Well, what I'm thinking of doing is taking a small ship of at least, 18 people into Narnia. That's my idea. Because I think that we can beat the time continuum and actually reverse the aging of the Earth. Once we travel into Narnia, once we get through that portal, I'm going to basically develop, and I hope you guys check out my podcast. I have a podcast coming out soon called The Source Code Portal. And throughout that podcast, I'll be really challenging some mainstream physics ideas with what I think is the way to leave. I think it's really about building up an infrastructure where we realize that string theory has some demons. And yet, once we acquire the source code for this base level experience that we call reality, we're actually going to back engineer it and publish the source code. It'll be open source and allow anyone to go through the portal. Anybody will be able to travel with me. If you subscribe to my podcast, then we will all get together and we will break down the theoretical equations of Einstein and Mach and the Planck time, and we will pull out from it the base code. And once we rewrite that code, we will open the portal to Narnia. And once in Narnia, we will deal with the time dilation and rewind history, and hence fix the problems with the Earth. Joe Rogan, can I be on your podcast, please? I would love to come and present this highly intelligent conversation. I'm also going to be giving some lectures at various places about the time level continuum and breaking the source code. Because clearly, as Elon Musk has said many times, that there's a 1 in a billion chance that we're base level reality, which is just such horseshit. But then again, as everyone knows, Elon Musk is the same guy that tweeted Occupy Mars, and in it put a photo of the moon. But he's going to send craft to Mars, the light in the sky, any day now. You'd think that first he would have to send people in a craft, but it's not the way it works, guys. He's got big plans for his Falcon rocket, reusable rockets, which is just such nonsense. This is the same thing with, remember they built the shuttle? They had the shuttle that they built, and they had these rockets, and they said, well, the shuttle part is not reusable, but, or the shuttle part's reusable, but the rockets aren't. And now, 30, 40 years later, now we're just replacing it and flip-flopping them. And people still believe it. Again, in 1969, you're supposed to believe that we sent people in a rocket up to the moon, 248,000 miles away. The craft landed on the moon. People got out, played golf, danced around, recorded video footage, had a phone call with the president, hit a golf ball, drove a moon buggy that unfolded from the bottom of the craft, put their sticks in the ground, didn't notice that there was water, only 4 inches deep. That's come out since then, thanks to the Lady Craft and India's great space program. We're supposed to believe that those people got back in that craft. It then took off from the moon, rendezvoused with another craft going in circles around the moon, and then fired back to Earth 238,000 miles away. Then that craft entered the atmosphere where anything burns up that NASA sends back, except for things that they don't want to burn up. They just tell people this burned up and this didn't. Our satellite burned up. This craft with people in it didn't, because we put a heat shield on the bottom. But these satellites are, once they're done, they just go in and they just burn up. This craft came back, deployed its parachutes, and dropped out in the ocean. Everybody's fine. There's no harm, no foul. We did it 6 times from 1969 to 1972, all under the presidency of Nixon, who did it for political reasons. Obviously, check out my movie coming out. Probably July 20th is the plan on that. NASA going nowhere since 1958. Anyway, but you're supposed to believe that we should be getting excited about Elon Musk sending up a rocket 50 miles in the sky with no people inside of it, and it comes back down and lands, and then takes months until it's ready to go again. People don't get back in it. People were never in it to start with. You're supposed to believe that this is how technology goes. Technology gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Originally we were told that the shuttles would cost $6 or $7 million per launch, which was close. They ended up at about $700 million per launch, which is close. I mean, if you have really good analysts over there at NASA who draw up the paperwork and say, okay, let's lay it out here. It looks like we're going to build this shuttle, and it's going to be about $7 million per launch. And then your numbers, you crunch them a little bit more, and you actually launch it, and it was $700 million. And forgot to carry the 2 zeros. It's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. But again, people are in love with the fantasy of space. They love it. And so they'll let them lie to them constantly. They'll just let it keep going. Lie after lie after lie, including portals. You're going to build a portal once you get the source code. I can't believe it. It's just such nonsense. So let's talk about real quick something I forgot to mention, or not forgot to mention. My stream went down last week. Hopefully, so far I'm at 3,200 KBSs, so things are good right now. And so we can bring up a Flat Earth Debates toe tag number 882. You can find this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel for Planar Walk. Oops. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Hopefully the volume's okay. I accidentally dragged my volume meter. Anyway, so I talked about this last week and how hilarious this is, that you got these guys like Planar Walk, who was, I've mentioned it before, he's the one who was part of the whole nonsense scam that they tried to play on people by wadding up paper and putting it in their trash can and showing their camera, and people saw it, and then I made a video about it, and then they tried to claim my video and tried to do privacy complaints and tried to get me taken down. I just made a video and said, good luck. You guys are the one that instigated this whole hoax. Anyway, they're just all liars, period. Anyway, these guys think they know everything that there is to know about the globe, and they think they have all these proofs. So he comes into the Flat Earth Debates with Nathan Oakley, and he's talking about planes and the Coriolis effect, and basically saying that because the Earth rotates, and we're actually going to look at this real quick on Google Earth just so that I can show you. Let's bring that up here and turn that off. All right. So this is Google Earth. Clear this. Clear that. Take off this. All right. So remember that supposedly, if you think you live here, this is hilarious. Is this where you think you live? This is what's going on right now. In case you didn't know. Whee! How impressive. Spinning in space. At crazy speeds, along with this, going around this ball Earth with all the water held to it by the magical force, the downward force that's never been proven of gravity. It's holding all this water to the Earth as it spins through space. Whee! Anyway, enough fun with that. So, remember that if you're talking about the United States, we'll use that as an example here. Okay? And remember that the Earth is supposedly spinning this away. Puppy, come here. Come here. All right, so... Miss Puppy, come here. Sorry, I'm going to hold my dog again. Or not. She said no. All right, so supposedly the Earth is spinning to the east, and so planes that would take off from say New York, flying to San Francisco, if the Earth is rotating this way at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, it's about 800 miles per hour in San Francisco. So if a plane took off from here and started to fly, and the Earth was rotating underneath it this way, then this plane going this way would get to its destination in San Francisco much more quicker than the plane that takes off from San Francisco is trying to head to New York. Remember, planes go about 500 miles per hour, and the Earth is going 800 miles per hour in this direction. What would happen? The plane would end up out here in the water, because the Earth would rotate this way, plane takes off, it's flying this way. Anyway, what should be clear is if the Earth is spinning, is that flights going from east to west would be significantly faster than flights going this way. It would be nearly impossible, because how are you going to keep up? You'd have to be in Alaska, where it's only spinning 400 miles per hour, so that the plane could at least make 100 mile per hour speed difference on the Earth. Of course, planes fly all over. So even from San Francisco, where it's 800 miles per hour. So again, if the plane's only flying 500 miles per hour and the Earth is rotating underneath it, now again, the belief is, as this Earth is spinning, that there is an attached atmosphere, air, that is somehow attached to the point that even when the plane takes off and the Earth is rotating, that the plane maintains its rotation with the atmosphere as it spins, which is such a freaking joke. Think about how nonsense that is. And remember, the air thins with height, right? So right here, the air thins with height. So you'd think that as you got up higher, eventually, you're not being carried by the atmosphere anymore. But no, that's not how it works in Globeland. They'll just make up whatever. So what happens is, in this flat Earth debate, you've got Planar Walk, who actually tries to come in and say, well, planes going this direction are actually faster because of the spin of the Earth, which is completely wrong. It's the opposite. Okay, and I'll actually show that. I guess we can show that first, and then we'll listen to the, let's see here. And this is one of the things I had set up before, and I had to shut down my computer, and now it's not set up. So you have to give me a little time to search through this myself. This is Flight Radar 24. Thank you so much for the next super chat. I see that the Mars crew members will be taken to be slaves in the DUMBs. Okay, so you can see this now, yeah. So we're searching for airports. I'm just going to put in SFO, San Francisco International Airport. Give me a second here. Like I said, we're now going to go to, let's go departures first. So we're leaving SFO, and we are headed to, and let's find, let's go to JFK. Let me go control find JFK. All right, so here we go. This is a flight on Delta DL 490. Okay. So you can see here, oh, this is actually interesting. This is, wait, what? Hold on one second. All right, actually, I'm going to go SFO. I don't like this one because the flight number, it's not always the same flight. Sometimes it is, but okay, well, this is good enough, actually. So basically what we have here is, let me try and find a different one real quick. The only problem with this is that, like I said, there's flights in here from Jackson to Salt Lake City, which are the same flight number. That's kind of a pain in the butt. Let me go back and see if there's another flight to JFK. Find JFK. Let's see, there's that one. Okay, let's go to this one, AS326 Alaska Airlines. You should be able to find one that's only that flight. There we go. All right, so now you can see this is always San Francisco, New York. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open in a new page, JFK. So this is from San Francisco to New York. Now we're going to do from New York to San Francisco. So we're just going to open up a new page, new tab here. Now we're going to be doing departures from JFK. Again, this is all random. We were just control find SFO. Okay, we got one. This one, America Airlines. Okay, we'll go to that one. AA2652. and see if this is all okay. And this is all New York to San Francisco. All right. So first we're looking at San Francisco to New York flights, and we get the times here. You can see 4:53, 5:05, 5:10, 5:31, 5:13, 5:13, 5:07, 5:18, 5:03. What is that? 8:11. Don't know what that is. That's wrong, probably. All right, 5:13, 5:09, 5:06. Okay, so remember, these are flights from San Francisco to New York. Okay, and they take, what would you say, on average 5:10? I'd say it's probably, this one took 5:13, 5:02, 5:18, 5:06, maybe 5:08. I don't know, something like that. Okay, now remember, that is San Francisco to New York. Now we're going to be looking at our planes from New York to San Francisco. 6:19, 5:33, 5:38, 5:29, 5:50, 5:48, 6:24, 6:01, 5:53, 6:55, 6:18. Wait a second. Okay, so from New York to San Francisco, flights are taking on average, what would you say? 5:45? 6? Again, let's go back to the Google Earths, just so we understand what we're talking about here. The Earth is spinning this way, 800 miles per hour in that area, 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. The Earth is spinning. The airplane is taking off from JFK, heading this way. From New York to San Francisco, 5 hours and 45 minutes. Even though the Earth is spinning underneath it in the direction the plane is going, or in the towards the plane. Then the flights from San Francisco to New York are taking only 5 hours, even though the Earth is spinning out of it. So the classic thing about this toe tag is that this guy comes in saying the opposite. He's saying that it works the other way, and that it's just hilarious. And Chocolate Saiyan is in there and puts him straight. I heard it when he first came out and started saying, I'm like, he's got this backwards. Somebody please point it out that he's saying the opposite. I also have to use the restroom, so I'm just going to let this play. Oops, that's not on screen for you. So we'll just pick it up from early on. This is, again, if you want to find this, it'll be in the show notes, FED toe tag 882 planar walk. Pretty hilarious. Let's listen in.
What you're claiming, not from a pilot.
Oh, first of all, he came in saying, well, pilots do this and pilots do that, and pilots take the curvature or the spin of the Earth into account. And Nathan Oakley said, well, can you get us some evidence of that? Which pilot? Where do you have a reference to that? And he didn't have one. He's like, well, I don't mean pilots necessarily. It's just hilarious. Let's continue.
So just because it's not from a pilot, generally, I don't think it's I don't think it would be the pilots that would actually come up with the times. It would actually probably be someone else.
Your claim, pilots specifically, that specific type of person, pilots, automatically take Earth rotation into consideration. That's why they don't declare it on the tannoy. That's your claim. Now you're saying, I don't think it really matters to cite a pilot. Can no one else appreciate why this is unbelievably frustrating? Can no one else appreciate why this is unbelievably irritating? When the person who tells me what a sodding pilot thinks, and I ask him to cite it, tells me that it's not important to get the opinions of pilots.
I just got here and I'm already frustrated.
Planar Walk's the most boring person to listen to ever.
Can I have a few minutes? Can I ask Planar Walk one question?
Go ahead, Chocolate. I'm done with him.
A few minutes ago, Planar Walk, you said something about flights taking longer to go from New York to LA, or from LA to New York. I don't remember the exact city because I'm working, so excuse me. But did you say, is that what you said?
Longer to go from New York to LA.
You said what?
It's longer to go from New York to LA.
Right. We just pointed that out. I just showed you that, right? We went back and looked at flights, and it is longer to go from New York. Well, he used LA. We're using San Francisco. It's the same thing, same distance. So he's admitting now that the flight is longer to go from New York to LA. Let's continue.
Then from LA to New York.
No, it's
Right.
longer to go from New York to LA than it is to go from LA to New York.
Correct.
Right. Okay, but isn't Earth supposed to be spinning towards the east?
Uh-oh.
So the reason why is because...
No. Answer the question. Is the Earth supposed to be spinning towards the east?
Uh-oh.
Yes, the Earth is supposed to be spinning towards the east.
Right. So there's no way that the flight from New York to LA should be longer than the flight going the opposite way, right?
Uh-oh.
Well, the reason why it's...
No. Answer the question. If the Earth is spinning towards the east, I take off from New York and I go to LA, the Earth is spinning towards me, right? So LA should be showing up a lot quicker, right? But you just said it's not.
Uh-oh.
Am I right?
Yeah, so not necessarily, because there's... Because what's being
I'm sorry, my friend. I've taken these flights many times. That's how it works. You said New York to LA is longer, and that's not how it's supposed to work, my friend. So I'm sorry.
So the reason why is because of the way that it impacts the jet streams, and the jet streams are impacted. You can... One of the links that I posted actually shows.
How is the jet stream impacted if the Earth is spinning in one direction?
The jet streams are impacted. I'm looking at all these things right now. It's quite late for me, so it's hard to sort of absorb this information. But essentially,
Fana, I understand you're tired. I know you're sleepy. Yeah. I get it.
He's tired.
I just need you to think for a few minutes real clearly.
He's tired and sleepy, as I imagine you must be, as you start to realize the problem with your argument. And again, even if you want to use the ridiculous argument that the jet streams are causing it, you have to remember that the jet streams, especially down south like we were talking about earlier, are going 250 miles per hour faster than the Earth spins. If the attached atmosphere is attached perfectly to the Earth, so let's take this location here, and we pretend that there's an atmosphere attached perfectly to this land, which is holy hell nonsense. But let's say this plane takes off from Ecuador, and remember, as the Earth spins, the atmosphere is attached to it. Okay? But it's being helped by winds that are going in that direction to the east at 250 miles per hour. The plane is being helped. So if the plane is within this held-on atmosphere, being helped by 250 miles per hour winds, then the winds are going faster than the Earth spins in the same direction that the Earth spins. Do people have any idea what that means? I mean, imagine you have a basketball and you're spinning a basketball, okay? That we can imagine. Basketball spinning on a finger, Harlem Globetrotters, whatever you want to call it. Now picture that there is an attached bunch of air to it. Okay, now we've gone into fantasy world. What do you mean, Jaron? Well, you see, it's because it's always been attached ever since the beginning of time, since the Big Bang. And the atmosphere is, even though it's come into play, it's a gradient to the vacuum. It's ridiculous. It can't exist. Now, if I told you that attached atmosphere is sitting next to a vacuum, you'd be like, well, wouldn't the atmosphere get sucked into the vacuum? Yes, of course. Well, it's a gradient, regardless. People don't get it. But let's say that there's an attached atmosphere to the basketball as it spins on the Globetrotter finger. And then you want to tell me that there's winds going faster than the basketball and faster than the atmosphere that's attached magically by Velcro to the spinning ball in the same direction that the ball's spinning. Horseshit. Horseshit. Let's continue.
Because I can't stay that long. The Earth is supposed to be spinning from west to east. Take off from New York and you go to LA. You're saying it takes longer. Well, you just destroyed your entire argument because that's not how it's supposed to work. If the Earth is spinning towards you, your flight is supposed to be significantly faster. So
Correct.
you're gonna have to work out which one is which, my friend. Okay, somebody else can have them. I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chocolate.
Chocolate. Let me dovetail off what you're saying. So Planet Walk, what he's saying is, if the Earth in the globe model is spinning 1,000 miles at the equator, roughly 840 miles from LA to New York, west to east, then the jet stream.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about this for a second,
hang on, is the jet stream speed faster than the Earth turn?
Yes.
If LA is
Hold
coming
on,
to you at
10th man.
1,000 or
Hold
let's just
on.
say 800 miles an hour.
He's trying to get a reply out, 10th man. Hold on.
His reply is.
Yeah, I'm trying to just visualize.
Right.
Visualize it in my mind. So.
Yeah, visualize it.
It sounds like you're trying to speak. Are you okay?
What?
It sounds like you're trying to speak coherently. Are you okay?
Yeah, you have to think about this before.
I'm mostly just tired.
Right, because
Do you
now
understand how your argument's a train wreck?
You've realized that you are completely backwards.
Do you understand how your argument is a train wreck, as pointed out by Chocolate saying?
Right.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. So I'm just trying to visualize.
Right, because it's spinning that way, and if the plane's going this
Planet
way.
Walk, you don't have to visualize anything, my friend. 2 seconds, Google it. It'll show you what direction the Earth is spinning. It'll even give you a little arrow. So now in your mind, you can envision which direction is which. And you can see if what you're saying is correct, there is no way that the Earth can be spinning.
The plane would get there faster if it's spinning this way.
Well, not necessarily.
Off and go this way.
Okay.
Plane is in the air.
You gotta
rotates
like just because you don't understand how it's working doesn't mean that it's not.
Oh, now I don't understand.
Don't rise to it.
That's adorable.
Yeah, we're just
Don't rise to it. Don't rise to it. You absolutely obliterated him. I didn't even spot that, Chocolate.
That was great.
So kudos. You've just smashed his argument into the middle of next week with just the simple facts he presented. I didn't even consider them. I was going to the overall argument. You've actually listened more than I have to his facts and gone, hang on a second. The turn is going the other way. It should be shorter that way, not longer.
Right.
As soon as he said it, I was all over it. Couldn't get to my mute button fast.
The
what?
So there is a reason.
Oh.
And it is due to the way. I believe it's due to the way that the.
There is a reason.
So it is. Yes, due to the way that the wind is moving, and I think over the US, by the looks of this, it's there's a lot of westward winds due to the
westward winds.
Was it westward? No, it's eastward
Yeah,
winds.
it's eastward.
Due to the Coriolis effect.
Yeah, maybe you want to figure that one out before you start presenting it.
You might want to do
why
that.
don't you just go to bed? You're terrible.
Yeah, it's time for
Indeed.
bed. It's pretty terrible.
Go to the last ball busters, okay? I have an example in there with a flight, right? From Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles.
So anyway, we could go on to the hilarity that continues, but again, FED toe tag 882 planar walk, and those are always funny. You know, I not necessarily in agreement with some toe tags that go after flat earthers. I don't think that's necessary, but I do think that sometimes they are necessary for globe earthers when they just have no idea what they're talking about, and they just go in there and make a fool of themselves and don't even realize it until halfway through, and they I'm now visualizing this, and I realize I've got it backwards, and my argument is garbage. And truly it was. So, I believe that I covered everything that I wanted to cover today. Oh, there's a couple of super chats. Let's see here. Bring those up. Ben Schwegel said, Jeranism, the Coriolis effect appears to be electromagnetic in nature. It affects water mere feet from the equator on either side, causing opposite directions spin, but not directly on the equator. Odd the effect is so direct, so close to either side. Actually, Ben Schwagel, you need to look into that as a hoax, if what I think you're talking about is correct. So if you're talking about the fact that there are people at the equator that will take buckets of water and they will dump them into little funnels or some sort of bucket that kind of shows people that are near the equator, see on this side, they go this direction, and then they go to the other side of the equator and say, see in this direction, they're on the other side. That's actually a hoax. It actually is not true. Those people are scam artists, and that's been proven. You can look that up. It's not true at all. What they do is they're able to pour the water in a certain way, or the basin is actually shaped a certain way, so that when you dump the water in on one side of the equator, it appears that the water is going down in one direction, and then they take it to the other side of the equator and dump it in the opposite direction, and it's actually a complete and total hoax. So if that's what you're talking about, don't fall for the hoaxes. Make sure you do a little bit of research on those. I think people, maybe I'll need to do a video on it. I didn't know people still fell for that. That's something that we were all told when we were very young, that water in the opposite hemispheres goes down the toilet's opposite direction. It's a complete and total hoax. And the people that do it for sightseers in Ecuador or for tourists do it to make tips. And it's completely false. It's all in the way that you pour the water, and that's been admitted by pretty much everyone. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Patrick said railgun technology. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, you guys need to look up the railguns. Those are tons of videos about that. You can even find on Mark Sargent's channel a bunch of interviews with these Navy gunners, and they'll talk about the railgun and how far it can shoot. And if you think it's doing it over a curve of the earth, you're just mistaken. You know, how far out they can shoot these. I believe that there's been a couple good ball busters on that technology. I believe it's the Ball Busters Flat Earth Proof episode recently. I'm not sure the number. But anyway, Ben Schwegel also with the super chat, the Mars crew members will be taken to be slaves in the DUMBs. Yeah, I don't think they may be. You know, so be very, very weary of that. But anybody who chooses to leave this beautiful creation, this absolute sign of design that we find ourselves living on. And again, you know, I agree with Owen Benjamin a lot when he's talking about it. He's not even sure if this is a realm yet or what, because I think the Earth is all there is. So it's hard to describe it as anything other than a place of existence. Even a plane of existence. Certainly not a spinning ball in space, flying around a vacuum with an attached atmosphere and everything else. Just doesn't make any sense. Hey, by the way, during the show, I did get a Venmo from Tom. Thank you very much. Says you are nailing it right now with this theoretical physicist joker. He's an absolute clown. Thank you, Tom, very much for that. If people want to support the show, they can do so. PayPal.me/Jaron. Again, all your donations do not go to any other person but me. It is for, or at least, you know, these PayPal donations. And Patreon, as I mentioned before, there are some channels that I support because I believe that you need to support what you like or it goes away. And the channels that I enjoy or that I frequent, I think that they should be supported. You know, and so if you're somebody who frequents my channel a lot or you enjoy my show, if you enjoy the work I do, if you enjoy the video I have, the movie coming out, you know, the movie that's going to come out is going to be immediately claimed or demonetized. It's just the way it's going to go. And so basically I'm doing all the work for free. You know, I wish that I could depend on, I wish I was doing another topic. Like if you're doing a space movie or something and you're able just to talk about space and how great it is and you're not calling anything into question and you're going by the mainstream, well, then you can make movies and it's so great because you know it's going to be monetized and you know you can make money off it. Well, I don't have that luxury, right? It won't be monetized. It will actually be demonetized and delisted and won't be recommended. One of the things maybe I'll show next week which is a huge turnaround for me. And I remember Nathan Oakley and I having this conversation a while back where I told him, at first I was a little bit concerned by it. I said, hey, is it, and this is maybe a year ago, I don't know how long ago that we had this conversation, but I said, hey, is it weird to you that my viewership, when you go to YouTube Analytics, I said 80% of my viewers are non-subscribers and only 20% are subscribers. I said, should I be concerned? And he's like, what? What are you talking about? I said, that's great. He goes, that's what you want. That's how you grow your numbers, is you want your videos being shared. You want your videos being recommended. He said his videos at the time were 20% non-subscribers and 80% subscribers. So he was saying he was having a hard time growing his numbers because of that. I said, oh, I guess I'm lucky to have 80%, 20%. Well, since the recent announcement by YouTube that they're going to be demoting, deplatforming, delisting, demonetizing Flat Earth channels, my numbers have completely swapped to where last time I checked it was like 83% subscriber, 17% non-subscriber, which is crazy. That's why. So if you're, when I look and I see my numbers not growing, well, that's why. Not being recommended, not being promoted. And again, it's okay. What are you going to do? I'm just pointing it out so that people understand that it's not a joke that YouTube is going to start delisting and not recommending. That's already begun. And it's, drastically affected to my numbers to the point where I don't grow in subscribers anymore. So anyway, back to my movie, which is just sad to know that I've been working on it for quite a while. And, it's not going to have the kind of, I didn't do a GoFundMe for it. There's other people in the community and other people that I support that have done movies where they did a GoFundMe for it. And I just wanted to try and do one, so it kind of, I've been putting out less videos recently. People have noticed that. Still do my Monday nights. I still do my Sundays. But right now I've been working a little bit on the movie. And, it kind of sucks to know. So your support really helps. No matter how you go about it, whether it's paypal.me/Jaron. If you join my Patreon, that's awesome. If I, like I've talked about before, if I could ever get to a few $1,000s a month there, I'd be able to go out and do some investigative jeranism, I'll call it. Actually go interview people, go to NASA, and get a little bit deeper into some of these issues. I talked last week about the Michigan Tech students that supposedly put a satellite on one of the recent Falcon 9s. I think we need to go there. I think we need to interview those students. What exactly did you do? What did you build? Who gave you the design? Who gave you the blueprints? Was it the U.S. government? How do you know it's up there? Where are the results going? Who's getting the downloads? Which computers are they going through first? Is it going directly to you since you built it? I've already talked about before that, I've talked to a guy from a college, I'm not allowed to say his name, who said he was the head of a satellite department there and said, we get the downloads, but they come in days later. I said, well, why would that be? Oh, they go to the NOAA first, they go to NASA first, and he's the one in charge of that satellite. So these things need to be investigated, pointed out, and I don't think that that's really being done. So again, if I was ever able to have a lot of Patreons like some other channels do, I'm just going to keep mentioning it. And again, if people want to support, they can. If not, just keep watching the show. Enjoy what I do for free. Enjoy my movie for free that'll be coming out, and hopefully it's good. And it's not going to be fantastic because I haven't been able to put the work that I would want to. Again, if I was funded to do that, if I did a GoFundMe and, imagine if I did a GoFundMe and made, $5,000, well, you'd be able to put in 2 months of nothing but work into that movie. I don't have that luxury. I still have to make enough money during the month to support my family and to put food on the table and everything else. And also you can use Venmo if you want. There's just a few people who have used it, but I really do appreciate it. Venmo @Jeranism. You can search for that. I just got well, David just sent me a, read the title and look at the route. Around the world in 48 hours, former astronaut to attempt global speed record. Yeah, and that's almost the exact path that, let's see here if I'll bring this up for everybody. I just got it right now, so I don't know. Come on, let me post that. Bring it up here. This would be a lot easier if I had a Mac computer, but I don't. But can still bring it up fairly fast. All right, let's go to. Oops, sorry. Boom. All right, this is from Ars Technica. Around the world in 48 hours, former astronaut to attempt global speed record. The aircraft will depart with a crew of 4 pilots from the shuttle landing facility. When is this supposed to happen? As a veteran of 3 space flights, including a stint as commander of the International Space Station, former NASA astronaut, oh, not Terry Virts, holy smokes. This guy, I don't believe it, has orbited the planet more than 3,400 times. Now Virts said he'd like to make one more orbit around the planet and possibly set a world record in the process. Founder of a consulting business, Action Aviation, leading the effort to travel around the planet Earth via both poles, July 9th through July 11th. Oh, this is coming up interesting. 2 days. The current speed record was set in 2008. So this is the exact kind of flight path that, which direction? Start, end point. Kennedy Space Center, total time 48 hours, 38 minutes. And which direction? Stop 1, stop 2, stop 3. Okay. This will be interesting. I'll have to do a video about this. Present day record attempt will be attempted in a smaller jet. The Gulfstream G650ER aircraft has a range of more than 7,500 miles. The aircraft is capable of reaching Mach 0.925, even though obviously it will be able to go by jet streams. But if they're going in this direction, that's going to be, well, they're going to take this jet stream, obviously. They're going to... What? That's not... Oh, boy. So funny. So funny. And remember, the one that went down here, so they're going to stop at some airport, Miru Airport, Mauritius Islands. I'll have to look at this more carefully. It's probably not good radio or good show for me to look at this first. 22,422 nautical mile. That's not really around the globe, but anyway. So again, who I don't get it. Who's basing the distance? If it's around the world, don't you have to go 25,000 miles? Isn't that what they would? Why not cut it over here? Why not go here? Such bullshit. Doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't he travel to Europe? Why not just go here and then down here and here? Who's saying it's around the world if you're not even going 25,000 miles? What a joke. The aircraft will depart with a crew of 4 pilots from the shuttle landing facility. Takeoff is planned for 9:32 a.m. Eastern, the same time as the Saturn V rocket launched from Kennedy Space Center. Oh, boy. On the occasion of the Apollo 50th anniversary, they are getting desperate. To honor the past, present, and future of space exploration, we're going to attempt to set a world speed record for polar navigation. He's going to be filming a documentary of the project. Okay. 22,422 nautical miles. Will travel from Florida across the North Pole and land in Nur Sultan, Kazakhstan to refuel. There, they will go on to a little island. And then, yeah, they're just going to fly across here. Oh, boy. So, yeah, I mean, do I have a flat Earth map that I could put this on? I mean, picture, they're going to be flying from here to Kazakhstan. Sorry, I have to turn around and look at my map. So, from there to Kazakhstan. Yeah. Let me pull this up real quick just so I can show. This is proof of the globe, by the way, crazy. Let me pull this up real quick for you. We're going to look at it real quick. By the way, while I look for this, we can do one more moment of silence. We will rebuild. We will come back. Hey, Retro Bill, thank you so much for that. Said, fantastic show off the Richter scale. Says Ben Schwagel, thanks very much again. Says, okay, what about the Smarter Every Day, though? He does a test with a friend showing proof of Coriolis. I think he's a useful idiot, but he does show things. I think he shows things, too. And, yeah, as far as that test, I don't see anything wrong with it. It certainly doesn't prove that the people at the equator are doing anything. But, again, when you think about the direction that the... I'll kind of show it on the map in a second. But if you think about the direction that the sun and moon move, it doesn't surprise me that water, if put in a pool and controlled and everything, in those two locations, might spin the opposite direction, but it certainly doesn't mean that the air is and everything, that they say. Let me bring this up real quick. Sorry, I have to download a picture real quick. I don't see one here. And again, this map that I'm going to be showing is just a projection of the globe, but just showing people that if the Earth was in any way like this, and which is this one here, yeah, we'll use that one. Is that a good one? I'll use a different one. We'll use this one. That's fine. This is the CBS School of Air map. Save image as. Give me a second. Open in folder. Show in folder. Open with Real World Paint. Alright. That's kind of a bad map, but it'll work. And let me get this up so you can see. Sorry, I didn't plan on showing you my art program here, so I have to add it. Where's Real World Paint? There it is. Okay. There we are. All right, so just to show you exactly what they're going to be doing and why it proves nothing. Okay, I'll be using that red line. Maybe we can make it something more noticeable. White. Yeah, white's probably better. A little thicker. All right. So let me just show you this path that Terry verts in his. So they're going to be starting. Sorry, I have to go back and forth here a second. All right, so they're starting in Florida from Cape Canaveral, going over the North Pole, so they say, and going to Kazakhstan. Okay, so that is starting at Cape Canaveral, which is about here, and they're going to Kazakhstan, which is maybe here. Let me see if I have that right. So India's there. Oops. Yeah, so it's a little bit inside of India, about halfway through. All right. So I'd say it's more like here. All right. So anyway, they're going there, and then they're flying from. Let's go back and look again. That's their first stop, and then they're refueling for 45 minutes, and then they're going to a little island out off the coast of South Africa. So in leg 2, we'll do that in red. They are going, looks like about here. Okay. And then they're going to, shows down the South Pole, and they're arriving stop 3 in Chile. Okay. Let's go back. Leg 3 we'll do in green. So my guess is they're going to fly like this. Again, they could just go here, but they'll probably fly like this. Skirt this little bit of the ice. And again, you could even fly in here if you want. Why not, right? Fly here. Fly here for a while. Everyone thinks you're going over Antarctica. And then you go here. Okay. And then for the final leg, we'll do that in blue. They'll be going here. And it's going to take them, what was it, 48 hours? So it's going to take 2 days. Make sure I have that right. Is that what I read, or am I making it up? Oh yeah, around the world in 48 hours. So, yeah, it doesn't impress me. I'm sorry. I don't know. It doesn't impress me that if you can do that in 2 days, sure. I don't think that's a problem. Can I do that in 2 days? Easily. Notice the straight path here. You know, of course, they're going to say that they go above the North Pole. Nobody will be able to see that. What are they going to do? Show you a puddle of water from the plane, and you're going to believe it? To Kazakhstan, down to this little island off the coast here. and then they'll just fly here and probably if they need to show you some ice, they'll just fly over here and for a little bit and say, this is Antarctica. There's the South Pole. How are you going to know? And then to here. Anyway, people can believe that if they want. Let me see if they do some sort of spider tracks or way of, and even if you did, it's not going to prove anything to me. So the fact that you can do that in 48 hours, really not very impressive. But, yeah, and again, it's only 22,000 miles. So it's not even 25,000 miles. I don't know where they come up with this nonsense, but I'll keep that open. I'll also include that in the show notes if people care to see that. Let me put up the... Yeah, so this is the story here, and again, that'll be in the show notes. Thank you very much again for the super chats. Make sure I'm not missing anybody else's. No. So yeah, moral of the story today, basically just trying to show some of the nonsense that happens when you fall into the traps of the globe believers. Either you watch Fight the Flat Earth and he screws people out of money and says he's going to donate it and never does. Or you've got Planar Walk, who goes into a chat, goes into a debate completely wrong and backwards. Or you've got BM Furball, who goes to make a presentation calling me wrong and can't even get his distances correct, and then says the funniest quote of the year, which is, well, yeah, I may have got the math wrong, but it doesn't change the answer, or something, whatever he said. We learned Elon Musk is out of his mind and believes he's going to take people to Mars, of course. And we of course learned that he doesn't even know the difference between the moon and Mars. Just because he found a picture of the moon that's red, he said occupy Mars and put it next to a moon, which I wish we had more geniuses like him. So smart. So smart. We learned about Weinstein and what happens when you fall for all the traps of the globe belief that all of a sudden you think you can create portals and you can just need to find the source code. Just get them the source code, back engineer it through Narnia, bing, bang, boom, easy. So Ranty Flat Earth did his awesome show. Hopefully nobody else goes on there just to debunk me, because I don't have time to be watching nonsense and people who can't get their figures right. Especially if you're going to do a presentation, double check it. If you're doing a live show like this or something, and I don't know, then I can see you making a mistake. But the whole point of his thing was Jaron is wrong and he is right about the Southern Hemisphere. And I get it. There's issues in the Southern Hemisphere. That's the difference between the flat Earth and the globe Earth. That a flat Earth is going to have a much more expansive Southern Hemisphere, which I think is shown by the fact of the undersea cables that aren't ran from Australia to the South America. They go up along. Same thing with cruise ships. There's flight times seem to be interesting, and when you figure out that there's a 250 mile per hour, go back and listen to what I just said. Go back and listen to what I said in the video that BM Furball showed, where I showed you that it doesn't make any sense that you say, oh, the plane's going 625 and it's getting helped by 250 mile per hour winds. It's ridiculous. So why would the plane be traveling 333 miles? For what reason? Per hour. Sorry. What is the point of that? Oh, we just go 333 miles per hour because we're getting a 250 mile per hour wind and we don't feel like being completely efficient? Doesn't make sense to me. What makes more sense is that plane's actually traveling 10,000 miles plus. I definitely say plus. And is able to make that time because of the jet streams. That's how planes fly. Planes get up and they find the jet streams. And sometimes there's jet streams that go in the other direction. So, again, if you get to, we don't even know because, in that map, the AE map that we used to find on earth.nullschool, which has been taken away, of course, because it was starting to make sense. You can check out those videos on my channel. Maybe I'll link it here at the end. The AE map that started out with them flipping to the South Pole, then got rid of the AE map. Now it's gone altogether. But the reason why is because it showed so much, and we were able to look. But we were only able to look at flight heights of about 20,000 feet and 36,000 feet, and then 60,000 feet. So we know planes aren't at 60,000 feet, but there's many different flight levels between 20,000 and say 42,000, where I would max out a regular plane. that's 22,000 miles of height that a plane can get in. And so when we're only told what the speeds of the trade winds are at, say, 36,000 feet, well, what are they at 28? What are they at 29? What are they at 30, 31, 32? And there could be winds going the opposite direction. There is winds that go the opposite direction. We've seen that. Up at 42,000 feet, winds going in the other direction, helping planes go that direction. But again, when you get into the whole idea of the wind, these trade winds going faster than the Earth spins in the same direction that it spins, well, what are you going to do? It becomes nonsense. So we talked about all that. We talked about Patricia Steer. That link will be in there if you want to read that article. But, Patricia, it was good while it lasted, and sorry you couldn't take the trolling. It is ridiculous. It is nonsense. It is hard. And unfortunately, the only way I can deal with it really is just to not look at it. And thank you so much to my moderators, chat moderators, comment moderators. You guys are a saving grace because you get rid of a lot of the nonsense so I don't have to read it. Otherwise, I would, jump off a building and prove relative density. I am far more dense than the air around me. Therefore, I will be taken down. Here's a question for everybody. If you are somewhere where you can grab a quarter right now, or a dime, grab a quarter, it's more fun. But just really your homework for this week, just to think about it, is grab that quarter, pick it up, and just hold it for me for a second. Kind of loosely on its edges, maybe. And just really feel that quarter. If you don't have a quarter around you, pick up a pencil. Pick up a roll of electrical tape. Pick up something small. I don't know what. And hold it and think about it. And really picture what's going on there. And realize that the only thing trying to take that item to the ground is its own density and mass. There is nothing pulling that item down. There's nothing. There's no force pulling anything to the ground. All of the force that you feel is because what you're holding is much more dense than the air around it. If you got a small helium balloon and filled it up just a little bit, the helium balloon would just sit there. And if you held that, you would realize, oh, well, this is just staying there because it is equal to its surrounding medium. But just think about that. That's your homework. Hold it up, feel it, and just really contemplate. Erase everything you've been taught. You can't go back to Neil deGrasse dropping a microphone. You can't think about that. You can't think of Red's rhetoric dropping a pencil. Say, that's gravity. I understand what we've been taught. I understand what we've been told. I understand the equations and the gravimeter that says that there's a force, and I understand all that. Erase all that from your mind and just use your God-given senses and brain to think about holding that quarter and the fact that it is very much more dense than the air around it wants to go down. Just think about that. We talked about Toe Rogan and his nonsense. I want everybody to go to the Flat Earth International Conference. Check it out. That'll be in Dallas, Texas. Coming up quite soon. It'll be fun because you get to meet Owen Benjamin and myself and everybody else who will be there, Dave Weiss. And then also remind you to check out the show tomorrow night. We'll be having another exciting Jeranism Monday Night Raw. You can find that at tfr.com or on the Jeranism Raw YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed over there, you should be. Do that. We talked about Flat Earth Barcelona, the Flat Earth football team. And again, find the link to Rodrigo and go to his channel and subscribe. And we talked about some space news. We had a lot of fun. It is 3 o'clock, so I'm going to be heading out. One last time, thank you to all my patrons so much. Appreciate you guys' support. As always, if you want to join them, patreon.com/Jeranism. Help me out. I'd appreciate it. It will not be going to charity. It will not be going to anyone else but me. And Venmo at Jeranism if you want to do that, or paypal.me/Jeran. I think I already did all this. So just thank you very much to all my patrons. And if you want to mail me something, whether that's a shirt, whether that's a letter, whether that's hate mail or fan mail. You can go to Jeranism, or not go there, write it on an envelope. Throw a 2-cent stamp on it and go to a mailbox and drop it in there. P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California 95344. That is the P.O. Box if you want to send me something. I accept everything that you might send, whatever it may be. And if you don't want to mail me, that's fine. It's been fun providing you another Sunday, Globebuster-ish style. Prayers, thoughts, and prayers to Eru and his family for their loss. Sorry about that, Eru. But as I said before, she's in a better place. She is not having to deal with the lies that have taken over the world as we know it. Thank you again to all the super chatters. Appreciate that more than I can say. And I remind you guys to do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Till next time, this has been Jeranism. Peace.